Hi, this is the Honor Imagination with the Radical Global Healing Plan. So, I reversed engineered relationships last night, and all that came in. And that's something we're going to be covering today. And then the massive big picture of understanding what this is and what we're doing. So, I am in collaboration with a number of larger companies, huge companies. And one of them has the resources and solution already in play for resolving poverty, homelessness, waste. And we are also getting ready to work with another company to start addressing the global climate problem. I take care of education and also mental illness. And that's pretty much in a nutshell, is these three, well, the two of us. And then this other one is just watching how it moves to see where it's going to fit. I know they're on board. I just don't know what they're going to be able to bring to the table. But they have a much, much better idea as to what's going on with climate than we do. So it's been absolutely extraordinary. Absolutely extraordinary. I am limited with how I do things. And one of my biggest challenges from day one with this is the 12 different personality types. The problem is there is every one of us going through those 12 points while also having our loved ones going through these 12 different stages. In addition to, currently, there are a variation of about 6 of us on the planet. So there's only one of me. And this was my biggest challenge from day one, is how do I communicate with all of you? And the only way I can really do that is if I were to just integrate all of everything into the 12. And it took me a very long time to figure out how to do that. And this YouTube live is it. So when I'm talking to you, you're probably assuming this is for you. And you're right, and you're also wrong. You are right once, and you are wrong 11 other times at the same time. Trying to reach a vast audience is one of those things where I have to learn how to talk like all of you. And all of you are at different stages. So all of you have different needs, weaknesses, trials. And some of you are downright fucking arrogant, refusing to learn. Others are already humbled and ready to learn. Others are curious. So I have to use words that's going to placate and provide what every one of you needs at the same time. So sometimes my intuition will kick in and I will feel this massive need of, it's degradation time. It's time to humiliate. And that might not be for you, but you're not my audience. You are 1/12 of my audience. And the sooner you realize that, the sooner this is going to be easier for everyone. Every time you are listening to somebody like me in a position like this, where we're talking out, you are 1/12 of the audience. Unless it is a one-on-one conversation, you're going to get 1/12 of the conversation. And there's something real, well, stupid about our brains, that when we see someone on YouTube talking to a mass population, we think we're only talking to them. And we think that every single one of us is under one personality type. And this is the dumbest thing that ever came out of psychology, is this concept that there's only one of us here. There's not. There's 12. And most of us are between 1 to 6. So I'm sitting here going through this, trying to figure out how to do this. And while I'm doing it, I can feel myself rotating through all 12 stages. So sometimes I'm going to be talking to the seconds. Sometimes I'm going to be talking to the thirds. Sometimes I'm going to be over in the 12s. And I'm literally hopping all over the place. Actually, I'm warning through the entire thing in a very chronological order that's very precise because it's a mathematical sequence. It's almost predictable. And I just keep doing it over and over again so that when you accumulate all of the languages, you can understand me. But I'm also slipping into abstractic, and I'm also slipping into magic language. And I'm doing this all while speaking in story. Sometimes. And this is where, this is really truly the complexity of language, is we've got the 12 languages underneath the surface. We have abstractic, we've got magic, we have story. And just to give you an idea where abstractic falls, that's in the area of metaphor and literal, which don't exist where I am. Metaphor and literal become the same thing where I'm located, which is now what you get with abstractic. It's integrated metaphor and literal. So the only language that all of us understand is magic, which I think is pretty fucking awesome. And how you tell this is in story. So it's how is in story, magic, abstractic, with 12 different variations of you. So as you can see, this is really fucking hard. And there is an order of operations so that no matter where you are in the journey, if you are at the very bottom, you can start from the very beginning and go through it. Now, these things that I'm doing are the Triadic Healing Part 1. It is Radical Global Healing Plan. It is all of it. Like, this is it, live. We're doing it live, and then I take the videos and I drop them over in the course, and then the latecomers can go through the whole program. You have to do it chronologically. Now, I'm going to have some people who are just downright fucking assholes, which means I had to address them first. So I went through the beginning there where I had to do that. And there are some people who are going to skip. There are some people who are going to browse, whatever you need. There are some people who are going to want every fucking moment, 3 to 4 hours every day. Okay, whatever you need. My job is to sit here and talk to all 12 of you. So we're building, well, we have built, we're done. We're way past the think tank stage. That was done 2 years ago. So I belong to something called the Healing Torch. The Healing Torch is based off of the Olympic torch concept with the Healing Garden. We are focused and centered around the concept of uniting and collaborating with world minds who are also in a position, who have the resources and facilities to start plugging away at people and getting them where they need to be, as far as helping people and resource development. And I recently collaborated with Concentric Industries, and they literally have the cure for poverty, homelessness, waste, clean water, and they're already in the process of building the facilities, and it's going through. So over the next 2 to 5 years, you are going to see a massive clean change in the world. We're starting in Africa. At this point, the United States will be the last place we get to. You want to change that? Talk to your government. You want to change that? Ask your teachers for it. Ask your teachers for the 12 ethics. So what we are looking at doing at this point is this is basic supply and demand. So I had to create a program, one program to cover all 12 of you. This is why you have a learning disability. No, you don't. That's gaslighting from a bunch of idiotic, narcissistic teachers. You do not have a learning disability. They have an educational problem. So I'm huge on putting the blame right back where it belongs. And that kind of bullshit belongs on the teachers. So what we are doing is so teaching is equivalent to being an author. If you read my book and you don't understand it, well, that's on me. Because either I fucked up the marketing and you're like, if you are my audience, I have to clarify, if you are my audience and you can't understand it, I did done fucked up. And every author knows this. You have one job, be understood. It's kind of personal. I think that's my issue, is I'm an author and a logician and a linguist. So when someone doesn't understand me, for me, it's really fucking personal. I'm going, what the fuck? What the fuck? I have no excuse. What the fuck am I doing? I have the mastery of these three things. No one should misunderstand me. But because they are, where am I fucking up? That's called accountability. It's not blaming you because I fucked up. I fucked up. If you don't understand me, it's my fault. So I'm sitting here trying to figure out how to condense all this down in such a way that it's reachable to all 12 of you at the same time. So, and here's the other thing. This is the biggest challenge. You might come to me a 1 or a 2, but you need to stay with me until you get to about 6. I can't get you from 1 to 2 up to 4 and then have you go, well, I don't understand her anymore. And then you're done. There's no one else there. There's no one else. I'm it. And if you stop off at the 4th, like I got to make sure I get you to 5 and then 6. Now, once you get to 6, no, you don't. You need fucking help at 6 because I'm looking at the 6s going, wow. So I at least need to get you. I need to get you to 7. I need to get you to 7. So my goal is to get you to the 7th ethic. So that's my agenda. And this is what happens when you get Romans advising you. I had the Romans telling me that I needed to have a translation for all of you at every stage. So just to give you an idea, that's 144 different courses to say one thing. That's the fucking genius that is the Romans. 144 classes. And I mean like a full kit and caboodle, all of them. Basically a school, 144 schools. One for each of you at every length. And I'm going, that is so fucking stupid. So I threw out that. I'm like, this is why I don't take advice from the Romans, because that's the kind of bullshit I get. So we do it differently in Greece. Here's how we do it. What we do is we come up with one way to do the job of 144 classes. Now, Romans can't understand that concept because they don't have an educational system. So when you look at what I now have to create, one class for that covers 144 different schools. I realized the only way I could pull this off was through this kind of a system. So the big thing is I have to be speaking abstractic as much as possible. And the reason why is because abstractic is a language that is purified of narcissism. Narcissism hides itself, embeds itself right in the language. So does pedophilia. If you're attracting pedophiles, you're speaking their language. If you're attracting narcissists, you're speaking their language. You've got to change the language. So now the question usually is, of course, what do I speak? Abstractic. I don't attract those kind of people. I can't, because this is what it sounds like. It is absolutely not nice. It is not nice. It can't be, because they invented not nice. I'm sorry, they invented nice. Narcissists invented nice. And the sooner you realize that, you just need to literally resign yourself to hate all things narcissist. 100% of everything created by a narcissist is going to contain narcissism. And not a little bit. It's saturated in it. If it was invented by a narcissist, it has it. Because when you invent something, you pass on your energy into it. If you invent a word, the word contains the energy. If you paint, if you create any art, the art is going to contain that energy. I was talking to my daughter about this yesterday. It was like this massive realization. I went into MoMA one time, and I will not go back. I completely had forgotten about this. I went into MoMA and had I couldn't handle it. I ended up with so many problems when I was there. And then when I left, it was like a week of depression and just sobbing. I couldn't figure out what it was until last night. MoMA are all the paintings that were painted between the 1890s into about the present day. But the majority of them were painted in the 1940s during World War II. So all the artists, I can't be around Picasso's work. I hate his fucking work because all I can feel is that war energy from World War II. I can't be around it. And when I was walking through MoMA, I was just bombarded with all the war energy. There was one section where it was like, it was no man's land. And I couldn't understand what was going on with it. I couldn't understand what I was feeling. I didn't understand any of it. Now I do. That the energy is going to be absorbed into whatever is there. And this is what's interesting, is these gun shootings, these school shootings, feel just like MoMA. There you go. That's a great way. Standing in MoMA to me feels like walking through Sandy Hook. I can't do it. That's what it feels like. So fucking horrible. Just fucking horrible. So I don't like MoMA. I respect it for what it is, but I can't walk in there. And that's why I only went the one time. It's like, nope, I'm not going back to that. That's walking through World War II. Why would I do that? So if something was created by a narcissist, it is narcissism. Nice was invented by narcissists. So every time you're nice, you are speaking narcissist language. Stop doing it. I have a number of books, about 7 of them, that are my reading list for my work. I'm going to tell you right now, if you have not read these 7 books, but you're trying to do try to killing, you're pissing me off. Stop cutting corners. These books are so fucking good that they are literally a huge chunk of what cured me. Not Nice by Dr. Aziz Gazipora. Fucking phenomenal book. Go read it. Rejection Proof. I cannot pronounce a man's name. I'm not going to try. Rejection Proof was fucking amazing. I read Rejection Proof and then I read Not Nice. The 6 Pillars of Self-Esteem by Dr. Nathaniel Branden. You want to know how to do shadow work? That's how you do shadow work. When I read that book, I was able to completely reverse engineer all of my trauma and my memories and get through it in like 3 months. Or you could keep doing it on your own and take 20 years. It's up to you. In addition to that, I also read 7 Habits for Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. And I also have here The Silva Mind Method by Jose Silva. Now, the books that I found, and I did this with everything. If I found something that was quality, that met my standards, I kept it with me. And I'm huge on this meets my standard. So you're going to see it when you start going through my work. Also, Justine Gardner's Sophie's World. Of all the books I just told you, don't read any other but that one. This is an amazing book. Sophie's World by Justine Gardner is fucking extraordinary. In fact, The Healing Garden was inspired by his concept. Without telling you, he embeds logic right into the story. So the more you read it, the more your logic clicks into place and turns on. So by the time you are done reading the book, you are going to be logical. I did not need to study philosophy. I did not study philosophy. I didn't have to. I studied Justine Gardner's Sophie's World. I read it. It's a story. And then I just read the great books. That is my philosophy training. And then, of course, I went through Plato's curriculum. So when I was done, I had Justine Gardner's book. And it's the only book you fucking need. Justine Gardner's book. Because you'll have enough logic that you can literally reverse engineer every fucking else. Everything else. And then I went through the great books. And I reverse engineered every fucking great book as I read it. Because I had Sophie's World. So read Sophie's World first. That's going to turn your brain on. My daughter is already like, I think she's 10 chapters in. And it's already turned on her logic. She is the one who actually made a connection yesterday with World War II and bullying. And I was like, I missed that one. Holy fucking shit. And it was a huge chunk of comprehension that she dropped right into my work. Like, it was a huge, huge key pin here. I am so fucking amazed. Let me read it to you. It was just mind-blowing. Oh, where did I post it? Everywhere. Oh, let me go over there it is. Okay. All right, right here. Narcissism and bullying is war PTSD from 1945. The boomers were the children of war vets who were told, don't talk about the PTSD, shell shock, or the psychologist would lock you up. So we didn't. Psychology in the 1950s was inhumane. It still is. So instead, the war vets suppressed their trauma and beat their sons. So by 1955, we had a surge of bullies. By 1980, it was a bully pandemic. And the advice to handle the bully pandemic was, sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt me. But they did. 20 years later, Columbine happened. Then Sandy Hook. World War II has entered our schools. By now, we all have World War II shell shock PTSD that has passed down through 4 generations from World War II, all because we didn't talk about it and we're suppressing it. And they have just announced plans for World War III. War is unnatural. It is the creation of the mental cancer cell. So when you suppress trauma, it becomes narcissism. Truth purge. Truth gets it out. You have to literally confess everything you have done wrong, which is why priests had confessionals. It's because they knew this shit. Because they knew what they took out of Rome before they burned her. Alexandria, before they burned her. Now, if you are a war vet, you cannot talk to a psychologist, but you are protected under the law to talk to a priest. I highly recommend war vets go talk to priests in a confessional. Legally, you are allowed to do that, and you'll be safe to do so. Check with an attorney first, but I am pretty fucking sure there's your loophole. So, if you are a war vet, I am going to strongly recommend you go talk to a priest. Priests, there is a very specific way to handle the stuff you are about to hear, but more specifically, there is things that they are going to need to hear, and it's the 12 ethics. So, priests really need to get their hands on the 12 ethics. If you are a war vet, ask whatever priest you go to for guidance on the 12 ethics. That will direct them to my work. They'll be able to accumulate it. Now, here's the kicker. The 12 ethics was taught by Christ, but they have the Roman education, so they don't know that. And as a result, they're not going to know what you're talking about. The 12 ethics is exactly what you are going to need. So, war vets, here's what you need to do. You need to go to a priest, tell them everything. Again, check with an attorney, but I'm pretty sure there's your loophole. I am pretty fucking sure there is your loophole. Because religion, sanctuary, you'll have sanctuary. So war veterans need to go to priests. Priests need to teach them on the 12 ethics. If you do not have a priest who has a 12 ethic, here's mine. Like, go ahead and use my material. And you're going to want to basically deconstruct them. So you're going to want to do them in reverse. When you reverse the 12 ethics, it is deconstruction of trauma and shadow working. Always reverse the 12 ethics. Now, there is an emotional process that the 12 ethics will walk you through. This is how you use the 12 ethics. So far, I have like over 50 different ways you can use the 12 ethics, and the list is growing. So it's an emotional journey. It's not even that. It's a map for an emotional journey. So I'm going to walk you through this emotional journey. And it's funny because every time I do it, I have this massive like, oh. So the emotional journey, and I didn't even finish it last night because I had an epiphany. But the first one is humility. That's the first emotion in all of this is humility. And the concept is you would meditate and just bring in the emotion humility. My God, do I love it. And then you would move into courage. Focus on what the feeling feels like. Courage. Courage is doing the right thing no matter what. And then vulnerability. And I'm just going to read through the list here. And these, again, are in the correct order of operations. Endurance, perseverance, and then trust, personal law, self-preservation, self-defense, accountability, empathy, equal footing, self-value, justice, silent observation, then humble submission, learn, receive, effective communication, simplification, interfrated conversation. I wonder what that means. This is a word. I was in the middle of a vision when I wrote this. So sometimes when I do stuff in visions, it's really fucking weird. Integrated. It's just a typo. I was hoping for it to be an adventure. All right then. Integrated conversation, preservation of others, human connection. Oh no, I was totally like off my rocker. Human connection, balance of trade, equal footing, preserved and sustained with equal exchange for the karma. Non-consensual karma trade. Consensual karma trade, emotional fluidity, power fluidity, logic, logical, emotional navigation. And that is actually the 12th ethic. And then I had an epiphany. So consensual karma trade is actually one of my biggest problems. Every time one of you assholes decides to give something to someone in exchange for something, you are manipulating and non-consensually fucking with the karma trade. Non-consensual karma trade is when you are controlling and trying to manipulate karma to get abundance. It is one of the biggest violations of the 12 ethics and abusive. So that, good God, the amount of manipulation in this is sick. Non-consensual karma trade is when you decide to try and shortcut the journey by manipulating words, by manipulating trials, so that you get the fruits prematurely. And it is the biggest red flag that you are fucking unethical and dirty. And we know it. Now, right now, I'm talking to only the people who do that kind of shit. If you don't do this kind of shit, then I wouldn't be talking to you. So you're going to have to learn something when you're listening to me of discernment to decide whether or not you know if I'm talking to you or not. And here's how you figure this out. Are you guilty of this? If you're guilty of it, well, then I'm talking to you. And if you're not, okay. And it's a very simple, this is where self-honesty, now you're practicing the skill self-honesty. Do you need to hear this? And that's really the question you need to ask yourself. Do I need to hear this? Now, some people are going to hear it. They're going to be overwhelmed with guilt and feeling like shit because they're guilty of it. And then they're going to say, I don't need to hear this. And they're going to skip it. And they have failed because they're not being honest with themselves. So yeah, maybe you do need to be called stupid. Maybe you do need to be called manipulative. And maybe you don't. I don't know who you are. Do not ever forget that I am a stranger. And don't ever forget that I have 12 of you to talk to at the same time. So you are going to have to put on your big person pants and start figuring out if I'm talking to you or to the other 11 people. This is called objectivity. It is a mental diversification skill that you're going to require later. And actually right now, which is why your life is shit, is because you haven't learned that skill. I was on Facebook yesterday and I saw a dip fucking shit telling somebody with PTSD that their PTSD was their intuition. What the fuck am I supposed to do with you people? And I just sat there. I did comment. I'm like, no, that's PTSD. You got healing to do. Heal. See what happens. So apparently, some of you are so fucking stupid that you think your intuition is PTSD. And I'm going, wow. So now I have to figure out, do I need to have that class? Do I need to tell people what their intuition really feels like? Wow. I don't even know where to begin with that one. And I'm sitting here going, at what level? I think I do need to have that class on what your intuition feels like, because if it feels good, if it gives you joy, it's your intuition. Your intuition, well, that's your identity, which is linked to your intuition. Your intuition is the barometer for you being able to measure the atmosphere. If you are feeling like you are about to have a breakdown and you're not around anybody, then you have PTSD. That is it. If you feel like you are having a breakdown and there's nothing around you, okay, there it is. Now, if you are around somebody, there might be a chance that they are abusing you. The ability to measure where you are in relativity to something is your intuition. But if you are having full PTSD episodes, you need to, and here's the problem. Having the emotions does not mean, oh, that's it, it's your trigger. This is one other thing that I saw a lot of, is people having, I saw more people being triggered because they're around abusers. This is why I have Pando. This is exactly why I have Pando. I put people who are like that right into Pando, which is an environment that's 100% free of abuse. So you can feel what it's like to not be around abuse. Because I can guarantee abuse-free in Pando. You step into Pando, there's no abuse, no narcissism. Now feel the difference. Feel the difference. So it's really, really interesting to see. That is a hot fucking mess. But the more you do the 12 ethics, the more it's literally recalibrating your intuition. You have to recalibrate, which is covered in Triadic Healing. So now I'm going, no, I don't think I have to do that. I don't think I have to do that because I've already done it. A lot of the stuff is already done. This here is supposed to supplement all of my work. I've got books, I've got the classes, so it's all set. So every one of you is basically at a different, not every one of you, there's only 12 of you, but there's going to be, I need to work out the organization for this. And this is what was on my mind yesterday is I've got war vets. War vets all have the same problem. They have got to confess. They've got to. I have spoken to way too many vets and they all are like, I got to get this out of me, but I can't. Go fucking to a priest. Confess to a priest. Confess to a priest. Take the 12 ethics with you. Give the 12 ethics to the priest and they'll know what to do with them. They will absolutely know what to do with them. They'll recognize them right away and be like, holy fucking shit. You are going to want to do them in reverse. Now, the reason why you're going to a priest in a confessional is because they can listen to you and you don't have to be religious. And they give you sanctuary. You'll be safe there. But you've got to get that stuff out of you. Again, talk to an attorney first. I am really fucking certain that you are legally allowed to do this. No matter what anyone else will tell you, check with an attorney. But I'm pretty sure you're set to do that because you're protected with your religion. So you have sanctuary. You're fine. So the next one is, are you a scientist? Are you an artist? Are you a communicator? If you are a scientist, music theory. Just to give you an idea, Einstein is the only scientist I know of who actually studied music theory. And look at his brain. Einstein is what happens when scientists study music theory. I also strongly recommend you do drawing, painting, art, dance, all of them. Sorry, nerds, you're gonna have to indulge in the arts. I know that's hard for you, but that's your weakness, and that's what you're gonna need. Artists, science. You are going to need physics. Before that, you're going to need logic. Before that, you're going to need language, linguistics. Now, linguistics is a problem because I've seen the curriculum that Rome has, and it's garbage. So I'm probably just going to do my version of linguistics and break it down that way, because if I just reverse engineer linguistics and simplify it for you. So let me explain this to you. I don't have it because an ex took the book, but there is a book called Walter Piston's Harmony. It is the textbook that they use in Juilliard. It is the only fucking textbook you need for music. All of music is condensed into about 300 pages. All of music is condensed into 300 pages. Every academic discipline can be condensed into about 300 pages. Now, there are approximately 14 academic disciplines. There's more than that, but let's just start with those 14. So you are looking at about 4,200 pages total. Everything else is wordy. That will get you up to about the end of physics. Not quantum physics, just the end of physics. 4,200 words, 14 textbooks, approximately 300 pages long each, and you've covered everything you need on the subject. So now you need to be asking the question, why the fuck did it take them 12 years to go over 4,200 pages? That's Roman education for you, because they are fucking idiots. So when I say to you that your concept of how to learn, what to learn, and how long it actually takes is really fucked up, this is easily one of the hardest things for people to understand. They hear learning and they think, oh my God, it's going to be 4 to 10 years. Well, in Rome, yeah. In the ancient Greek, no. You can study literally everything in about 10 years. If you have all the textbooks and everything you need and you're done. It took me 2 years to do all the music, but I also had a master and I had Plato's curriculum and I was studying it in the ancient Greek educational system. So 2 years. And done. It does not take long. Bad teachers make it harder. So when you artists, you need to be looking at linguistics, logic, physics, math, geometry. That will turn on your beautiful brains. It's going to be hard for you, most likely, if you are like saturated in the arts, because it's a different way to think. Your right brain is not supposed to be separated from your left brain. You're not supposed to be left and right or right brained. If you are talking in terms of are you left brained or right brained, you're disintegrating. They're supposed to be integrated. You have to be imaginative and scientific and artistic and theatrical all at the same time. You have to be all of those things. You don't know who you are until you are all of those things. Now, what variation you're going to get when you integrate all of those, that's going to be you cocktail. That's your you cocktail. But you're not supposed to be segregated. If you are an artist who only does art, you have done fucked up. And if you are a scientist who has never done art, what the fuck are you doing? Art is the foundation of science. What are you doing? So, communicators. Communicators are our biggest problem because they have received the least. There's no acknowledgement for them. There's no education. There's no training. They are just not in our culture. I refer to these people as cultivators. And you're going to hear that word a lot from me, cultivators. So what we're looking at with communicators or cultivators is these are basically the storytellers, the translators. They are the translators. So a communicator would be somebody who can hear me speaking in abstractic, and then translate it over to you, whichever perspective you are. That is what a cultivator does. They just translate. They are nourishing. They are basically the gardeners of humanity. That is a really good way of putting them. They are the gardeners of humanity. And the problem with cultivators is they were not taught how to do human gardening. That is all I do is human gardening. That is what I have mastered the skill of, is human gardening. I love that so much better than propagation, which is gardening, but it's another day where the cat is lounged up and he's huge. He is a big cat and he's like, the entire coffee table is mine. And he's stretched in his fleur. He's going proof. He's so fucking gorgeous. He's pure black except for his gray spots. Yeah, he's beautiful. His tail is like this plume. So human gardening is what communicators are supposed to be doing. But there is like no school on it. Try to Healing Part 2 is all we cover for the cultivators. That is all about the cultivators. Parents are cultivators. Healers are trying to be cultivators. Spiritual people are cultivators. Coaches are cultivators. Business owners are cultivators. Leaders are cultivators. Teachers are trying to be cultivators. So those are the people who just seek to do human gardening. Now, there are many types of human gardening, but in order to be a human gardener, you have to know about human circuitry first. Human circuitry is vital to your ability to do human gardening. Human circuitry is power economics, Pythagorean psychology. So human gardening, human circuitry, that's all. Again, now we're getting into, this is all covered in Try to Healing Part 2, all of it. So, and you should not, don't you ever fucking jump my courses. If you want Try to Healing Part 2, get your fucking ass to Try to Healing Part 1. They are absolutely 100% prerequisitional for a reason. So you're going to get into that once you go through Try to Healing Part 1. And that's going to cover everything with literally everything. It's a complete fucking course. Now, once you get done, that takes care of, and what they need more than anything is theater stage. Let's start you off with reading, writing. But again, this is assuming you've done music theory, song, dance, painting, drawing, sculpting, now reading, writing. Theater and stage is mandatory. Linguistics, logic, math, and physics. That will get you with Try to Healing Part 2. This is what your curriculum should have looked like when you went through education. I have Khan Academy on my website. I have a section under my classroom. Which website is it on? It is on Alexandria. It's on hmsalexandria.org. I have the classroom, and then underneath that, I have links to Khan Academy, Wikipedia, the Gutenberg Project, Ancient Texts, and Food Timeline. These were the 5 websites that I used. I also used NASA, but I could put NASA there. I should put NASA there. Those were the websites that I used to accumulate all of the education and data that I required when I was going through all of my research. They were the websites that were the highest of quality. I never found any logical inconsistency with them. If anything, I found substantial evidence to support everything they were saying. And it was absolutely gorgeous material. And then I learned I didn't have Khan Academy at the time, but I had books. So I used books along with Wikipedia. Actually, I just read Wiki. I just knew how to use Wiki. A lot of people don't know how to use Wiki. So I will be doing a class on that, teaching how to do that. Yeah, I'll be doing a how to use Wikipedia. And I talk a lot about how to do it, but that's it right there. So the biggest concern I've had is to make sure that your education is not gapped. But once you study logic, you'll take care of that problem. So the scientist, the artist, the communicator. Now, war vets, you're taken care of. Scientists taken. Who else do I have here? Parents, start with yourself. Definitely start with yourself. If you are an educator, you've got the most work to do. I have something called the Salmon of Knowledge. This is one of my books that I'm writing, Salmon of Knowledge. And that walks an educator through the entire educational process. What learning looks like, everything. So you can just read my book, Salmon of Knowledge. It's available on my website. It's mostly done. No, it's not. It's halfway done. But the preliminary work is solid and stable. You should be doing it in addition to Try to Killing. So for educators, my book, Salmon of Knowledge with Try to Killing Part 1 and 2. Wow. I now see what I have built, and this is so much easier than anything I could have imagined. Thank you, Steve Jobs. He recommended that you work hard, build all the prep. The more prep you do, the easier everything just falls into place. So all I've been doing for 2 years is preparing for this. So all I can do is tell you what you need to do. Go do it. It's done. I'm going to be posting this on my website. I'm also going to be posting it in the classes, and I'm going to be posting it down below in the comments so that you can go through and literally grab this curriculum that I'm writing up. And okay, I'm a parent. This is what I need. I'm an educator. This is what I need. So educators require the Salmon of Knowledge, and then Try to Killing Part 1 and Try to Killing Part 2. If you are a light worker, I am very, very, very snobby when it comes to which of my light workers I even acknowledge, because there's a lot of jackasses out there. So jackass number 1 is the spiritualists who think they're healed when they're not healed, when they're in a delusion called the oasis. So you have the oasis light workers who actually are not light workers at all, and they're highly toxic and stupid. I don't deal with those people. Most of them are that group. The second type of light workers I deal with are the ones who actually have an idea and are putting it into action. But too many of them are in the oasis. So I do not deal with those ones either. You cannot be in the oasis for me to work with you. I will not fucking work with you if you're in the oasis. You've got delusions to break. You need to go all the way back to the beginning and hear me call you how stupid you are and why. I do not touch those people for this reason. So the next one is what I refer to as the Valkyrie. The Valkyrie light workers are the light workers who usually don't know they're light workers. They're the real fucking light workers. They actually work to get rid of to push the light through. These light workers I refer to as the Valkyrie, and these are the ones I'm looking for. They are warriors, which is why I call them Valkyrie. They're the ones who are not nice. They're the ones who value truth. They're knights. They're literally almost identical, if not identical, to King Arthur's knights at the Round Table. These are people who value ethics above all else. These are people who want truth no matter what. They might dabble in spirituality, but they won't prioritize it above growth or truth. Those are my people. These are the only light workers I will work with. They are the only light workers I will acknowledge. So the Valkyrie warriors are the people who understand that you've got a bunch of people who are going to heal all on their own. This is really fucking important. This is something that I cannot impart to you deeply enough. There's a healing spectrum where you've got people who are going to do it all on their own. They're fine. They are DIYers. You have DIYers. DIYers do not fucking need help. I'm a DIYer. I don't need help. And the more skilled you are at DIY, the more independent, and it's, you got this. You got this. Those are the people who go on to become leaders, create massively awesome ideas. Now you're a light worker and I want you. So if you are one of these fucking awesome power leaders, power light work leaders, DIYer, that's what I'm looking for. Those are the people I collaborate with. I don't teach those people. They don't need me. I collaborate with them. So that's the first thing. The second stage is the DIYer delusion. These are the people who think they're DIYers, but they're really too stupid to know how bad at it they are. This is where all those Oasis people are. They are ignorant DIYers. I don't do anything with those morons. They're there. They require a massive amount of humiliation to understand how stupid they are. Those ignorant DIYers are about 99% of light workers who are ill-advising people. They haven't grown. They have done nothing. They are in the Oasis and they've just done nothing. They might start up a coaching business that accumulates and attracts other people who are trying to figure shit out. So they're picking up stragglers and giving them shit education and usually scamming them or charging them a fortune. It's ridiculous. Spirituality should be free, dipshits. Don't ever, ever pay anyone for this shit. That's why mine's all free. It's spirituality. Don't trust anyone who charges you for it. Huge red flag. Like, seriously. I know one person who's legit. One. Like, he did my power animal, and I went, well, you're legit. He's fucking legit. But I know his credentials. He's a I don't know if he's a neuroscience. He's a surgeon. He's a surgeon and a medical doctor. And he trained with like some top people. He's the real fucking deal. So I will bring in the real deal and I will like, they got my stamp. And he's one of them. Everybody else is like, so far, it's garbage. It's absolutely fucking garbage. Now, the next tier are the people who want and they consider themselves broken. They're lost. They are, but they're stuck. These are the ones who need help, guys. So these are the ones I target. That's my audience. This is where the strong ones are. The ones who fall into the Oasis haven't done the fucking work. The ones who've made it through already are the DIYers. So my target are the lost, the broken, the downtrodden, the ones who know, oh, I've got something fucking deep inside of me, but they can't get through their own mental ill to get to it. They're the ones who Healing Garden was made for. Those are my people. They know they're stupid. They know they're genius, and they know they need help. Those are my people. They're humble. They're down to earth. They have been broken so much that they are down to earth. So those are my people. Now, my work ends up instead attracting a lot of the ignorant DIY Oasis people, which is where I get pissed off, is because I'm like, why the fuck do I have you idiots here? Go away. You don't need anything. You don't need anything. And I've talked to them and they're like, well, you're picking up straddlers. You're picking up the straddlers. They're not the ones who need fucking help. If they can make it to an Oasis, they can make it the rest of the way. The people at the Oasis need to be saying to people, yeah, honey, you're only 10% done. When was the last time you shifted perspectives? Do you even know what that means? No, most people don't know what that means yet. So now I'm looking at this group here, the ones who have figured shit out, but they can't get out. They're stuck. So I'm going to call this the stuck tier. And those are my people. Now, the ones after that are the ones who are the abusers, the muggles, and they're ignorant. They're also foundationals. And there you go. So you've got the foundationals, the abusers, the ignorant, the muggles. So these are people between 1 to 4th perspective. I'm going to say 5th perspective. So 1 through 5th perspective. And then with the broken, the wanted, the broken, the lost, those are your 5th and 6th ethics. Now, the sixth ethics pour over into the stupid oasis bullshit, and that's it. So I am looking for the people who are stuck, the ones who know they have a God inside of them and they just can't get the fuck out. And also, they're the ones who can look at the oasis and go, that's fucking full of shit. Now, you guys are smart. You guys are my geniuses. When you can look at the oasis like I did and went, well, that's fucking bullshit. Now, I was in the oasis for 4 years. But then when I was there and I got to the end of it, I went, okay, this is fucking bullshit. And I left. I was in it for 4 years. I know people who've been there for 20. And I'm like, wait a minute, you haven't grown in 20 years? You're an idiot. So stupid and idiot is someone who doesn't grow. It's just not growing. So that's it. So when we are looking at, so there's the light workers. So now that you understand, if you fall into that category, which category you fall into. If you are an oasis light worker, get your fucking ass over to Try Healing Part 1 and go through the stupid section. You need to be humbled. I call spirituality dumb man science. It's dumb man physics. I used to believe, or wonder actually, I used to wonder why scientists would not study spirituality. I'm going, this is it. Like it's why aren't they studying this? And then I studied physics to figure out why they weren't. And then I realized, oh, they are studying it. It's called physics. Oh, they're physicists. So the oasis people are the people who are so stupid they don't know that they are actually fucking around with physics, but they're not studying physics. Physics is a 300-page book about this thick that tells you everything you need to know about your brain. And instead of reading that, they're fucking around with crayons, chakra stones, and rainbows. Like I said, they're really fucking stupid. Once I realized that spirituality was actually just physics, I decided to just study physics, which I'd already studied metaphysics. So I'm going, I'm set. This whole thing is metaphysics. I really fucking hate the word metaphysics because philosophers have really fucked up that word. God, there's no such thing as a Roman philosopher. I can't even say the word. Ugh. Okay. Have you ever noticed that there's no Roman philosophers? Why do you think that is? There's pre-Socratic, there's Greek, and then there's not. Did you notice? So if you are an oasis light worker, you need to have your ego like broken in two. You need to stop clinging to your religion, spirituality, same thing. When you start treating spirituality like it's a religion, it's a religion. You need to get your fucking ass back into the humiliation section of this. Go back to the beginning and listen to me tell you how stupid you are, because you really need to know in relativity to where you are, how much it's getting in your way. That is, go to Try Healing Part 1. And I've already tried being nice to those people. And I watch them argue with me instead because they think they've got all the answers. And they're always the first persons to go, but my feelings and my opinions are based off of absolutely garbage, which you know nothing about because you haven't studied physics. If you did, you would know what a feeling is, you dumb shit. Go. You just have to learn. So, if you are a light worker, well, if you're a DIYer and you've got everything that I just said about power, light working, and we have Pando. Absolutely Pando. I recommend going through Try Healing. Absolutely. Skip the part where I call you stupid. You don't need that. You don't need that. Good God, you don't. If you're going to tell me how much logic is illogical, then get your fucking ass there and learn how stupid you are. But aside from that, no. Go through Pando, and then I do recommend Try Healing because that will solidify what you've got and it will strengthen it and nourish it. It's amazing. And so if you are a DIYer who's got I would say just go through Try Healing, but you really don't need it. It's just going to strengthen what you already have, and it's going to really triangulate you into the right position you need to be at. The next one is going to be for my light workers, my Valkyrie. There's going to be levels. If you want the free level, then that is basically, it's a question of, do you want to access me or not? That's what you need to ask yourself. If you don't want access to me, you just want to learn the program, then you are going to be looking for Try to Healing Part 2. So in order to do that, you need Part 1, you need Part 2. And then after that, definitely read all of the books on my reading list. Read my 4 books. And then if you want to, and this is where that's the free, I guess that would just be the free edition. But I wouldn't call you Volcure. That is not, I would not call you my Volcure are the ones who actually work with me. My Volcure training, that is my membership. That is my Healing Garden membership. And that is my masterclass on Saturdays. And then we take whatever it is you want and we take you wherever it is you want to go. We have somebody who's currently training right now. And I actually have a couple people like this. And their job is going to be literally doing mass training for all of my light workers. So we're putting that into place right now. And those are people who actually go into, they target the warriors who need help, but know that the Oasis is fucking bullshit. So the next one, that takes care of the light workers. That takes care of the teachers. That takes care of the 3 groups. Parents. I want to go back to parents. I'm not done yet with parents. I said start with yourself, but there is so much more there. Parents, you're going to want Try to Healing Part 2. You need to become a teacher. Now, don't freak out. This is not teaching. Teaching in Greece is very, very different from teaching in Rome. Teaching in Rome is not teaching at all. That's abusive garbage. So for a parent, you really need to learn how to become a nourisher. We're going to call you a nourisher. So I have a thing that I am putting together for rogue parenting, where you're throwing out everything you've learned and we're starting you over from scratch. So start with Try to Healing Part 1. Read all my books, read the book recommendation, and Part 2. You definitely need Try to Healing Part 2. And you need to put yourself through the training as if you're an educator, because you are. Because your job is to preserve the child. Salmon of knowledge is absolutely what you need to look at. Salmon of knowledge. That's it. Just treat yourself like an educator. You want to preserve your child's learning journey. That is your job, is to preserve it. You want to preserve the 12 ethics. And this is where a lot of people fuck around with this. So my mother nourished my magic in me. My mother nourished it. She gave me a space where I could do my magic. And I think that's one of the key factors that preserved my mind, was while everyone else did everything else to me, she did preserve my magic. And that's really it, is preserve your child's magic. The imagination is supposed to stay with the child their entire lives. It's not a child thing. It's all of it. There is no such thing as an overactive imagination. That is the dumbest, stupidest thing from narcissism I've ever heard. There is no such thing as an overactive imagination. That's your magic. So with parents, what you're looking at doing is taking, you just want to preserve it. It's basically, imagine your child's beautiful brain is this magical thing that just overflows with power. And it's very, very, it's already where it needs to be. And your job is just to play referee to prevent interference without interfering yourself. And learn from your child. Set your child as the role model. This is vital. If your child is 1 to 2 years old, you've got somebody who knows how to imagine. Imagine with them. I remember how hard this was for me. I remember, but oh God, this was so fucking hard for me. And then when they hit 5 and 6, keep defending it. By the time they are 8, that's vital. 8 to 12 is fucking vital. They have imagination and it needs to grow. If they have my imagination friends, I had imaginary friends at age 12. I couldn't figure out why I was having an imaginary friend at age 12. And I realized, oh, you're supposed to. And all the psychologist dip fucks are sitting there telling you that you should be 5 years old having them. And I'm sitting here going, yeah, but I was 12. Yes, but I never went in the box. So the reason why you don't have imagination friends after 5 and 6 is because they killed your imagination. You're supposed to have imaginary friends. I had my imaginary friend right up until I was 20, which is normal. That's what you're supposed to do. And I went, oh. And then I started talking to other people and they told me, yeah, I had an imaginary friend. And I'm like, oh, there you go. So you're supposed to have an imaginary friend all the way up to 20 years old. If your imagination is healthy, that's what it's supposed to do. Learn from your child. There is nothing I learned more about my own children or my own mental health than watching my children. By watching how they developed naturally without interference, I was able to go, oh, that's how that's, oh. And suddenly I was seeing where I was being all like, oh, I'm fucked up over here. I'm fucked up over here. And instead of me trying to change my child to fit my broken fuckhead ass, I decided instead to change my broken fuckhead ass to my children, you know. So I used my 3 children as models to what healthy looks like. And then I worked my fucking ass off to do no interference. With my first one, I did not do a good job. With my second child, I did a better job. My third child, I perfected. Not that she's perfect, nothing is. However, I perfected that skill. I mastered that skill so that by the time my third child came along, I knew how to repair the damage. I knew how to play interference. I knew how to back off. I knew how to nourish her. It was a fucking skill. So in summary, this is how I did it. It was, I paid attention to which academic disciplines were her passion. I looked for whether or not she was an artist, a communicator, or a scientist. And I looked for whether or not she was an ant or a grasshopper. And then when I saw the signs, I made sure she had the resources. So I was a resource provider. Parents, this is how parenting is. I made sure she had the resources. I preserved her identity, even against her own subconscious mind. I preserved her identity against her own subconscious mind. And I started doing this with my son as well. And I already know how to do this with my own, so I'm sad. But if you don't know how to defend your identity against your subconscious mind, you've got problems. This is like one of the most primary tools that you require for humanity. Now, this is what we teach you in Triadic Healing Part 1 and in Triadic Healing Part 2, is how to defend. Actually, that's just Triadic Healing Part 1. We teach you how to defend your identity against your subconscious mind. And then we teach you how to work with your subconscious mind properly to nourish it. And then we teach you how to, in Triadic Healing Part 2, we teach you how to transfer that skill over to your child. Now, while that's going on, you are going to want the Salmon of Knowledge. That is my book. And that will also teach you, this is what teaching looks like. So that was it. When the child wants, when any human being wants, the next question needs to be, okay, now how do we do it ethically? How do we do this ethically? And that's it. Child wants, okay, how do we do it ethically? You want something, okay, how do we do it ethically? And that's the mission. How do you do it ethically? Now, you throw in those 12 ethics, and then whatever solution you come up with has to not violate those 12 ethics. And that's it right there. If you want to build a business, I have the ethical formula already for you. So it lays out, without you having to study Pythagorean psychology, what are the ethical business practices that don't violate people's subconscious minds while you are putting your business plan together. So that's parenting. That takes care of parenting. That takes care of light workers. Business owners. Love business owners. My God, I love business owners. Same thing. Read all the books. Do the reading list. Try to Killing Part 1. You're going to want Part 2. And Part 3 is for you. You are going to, everything's covered in Part 2. So the reading list with my books. Now, again, I got to remind you guys, I've got people coming in who are really fucking broken. I've got other people who coming in who are domestic violence, raised in pedophilia, and severe trauma victims, and homelessness. And then I've got war vets. And then I've got people who had a kind of like, okay, and then they're off. And then they have like mild trauma. And then you just have the really, really insignificantly, horrifically uneducated people who just, oh my God, you only grew up in the Roman educational system. Holy fucking shit, do you need help? So I have all of this range to cover. So if you start at 1, literally the very first thing, like if you start with broken, that's for the people. So this is something I really need to explain. Triadic healing is on a spectrum, just like you are. So that my early work, my very first work is severe fucking trauma. And that we're going to call that stage 2 or stage 1. The next one is going to be stage 2, where you probably need to be humiliated into the fucking ground. And then there is stage 3, where you're past the humiliation stage and you need to go through the process. And by the way, we're in about stage 3 now, right now. This is stage 3, stage 4. So that's it right there. And some people are going to need stage 1, but not stage 2. Some people are going to need stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. Some people are going to need stage 2. I want to say that stage 2, the stupid section, needs to be before stage 1. No, that definitely not. No. Anna, follow your intuition. Your intuition had it set up right. Yes, the stupid stage is stage 2. The stage 1 is hope. Now, and this is a great example of it. The people who are suicidal, you don't need stage 2. Don't do stage 2. It's not for you. That's stage 1. Then you go into stage 3. Stage 2 is only for the people who really need their egos broken to even learn. So if you do not need your ego broken to learn, you don't need it. And then I have the book Broken, which is my first book in the Triadic Healing series. And that also covers severe, deep trauma. But again, you might not need it. So you're going to have to figure out, and I'm going to be doing a whole thing, like a rating system of stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4. And then you're going to have to figure out, and I'm going to teach you how to figure it out. I'm going to walk you through how to figure this out. If you are stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4, this is the discernment skill, which is part of the 4th ethic. Your ability to know what you need for you. But in order to do that, you require self-honesty. So are you self-honest? Go to stage 2, you'll find out. That's what stage 2 does. Stage 2 introduces you to fucking self-honesty, which is what humility does. Now, I can tell you right now, you're probably good if you're going, oh my God, is that me? You're probably good. Try it. If you get to stage 2 and you're pissed off and angry, you need to be there. If you get angry about stage 2, you need to be there. You need to go through all of it. So there's also, I got people who've already humbled. They're like, I'm here to learn. Great. Go to stage 3. So you might need to start at stage 3. I'm going to say again, I've got 12 of you here. So I'm going to be laying that all out. This is one of those spectrums that's coming where you can see where you are and then you figure out where you should start. Now, once you figure out where you should start, stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, this is not including the 12 ethics. You're still going to be starting with the first ethic, courage. So there's the pep talk, and that's it. What kind of a pep talk do you need? So I've got the pep talks, and then I've got the 12 ethics. You need the 12 ethics. You need Triadic Healing Part 1. Everyone starts with the 12 ethics and Triadic Healing Part 1, which is all there. But whether or not you need the pep talk with it, that's what you need to decide. And that's going to determine where you are. So like I have a suicide course where I walk over everything you need there. And the mission is to get you in the right mindset, to get those hope threads, get you out and get you in the right track. And then after that, we move you into the second stage. All right, not that second stage. We move you into your next stage. Do not go into stage 2 if you are suicidal. Don't do it. That is not at all for you. You have the other problem of you think that you have so little ego that you are a doormat and we need to pick you up. You need to figure out. I don't do figure out. We will teach you how to pick yourself up and move on. We're going to teach you how to do that. That's already in Traumatic Healing Part 1. So there's that. Now, in addition to that, that takes care of that. Domestic violence, if you are not struggling with suicide and you have domestic violence issues, stage 2. Stage 2. One of the things I say very clearly is this. First of all, you need to understand what stupid means. Most of you don't even know what the word stupid means. Stupid is arrogant, which means a refusal to learn, and ignorant, which means without education, and it means you have an opinion, which means I'm building my beliefs now off of absolutely no knowledge or education, and I'm going to be refusing to learn also, like stupid. So everyone truly has a genius underneath them, but whether or not they can get to the genius is going to determine on how much stupid they have. Everybody has stupid. I had stupid. You have to learn how to get over your stupid to get to your genius. If you don't have stupid, then you are wealthy. Then you have love in your life, and then you are happy, prosperous, and abundant. So if you don't have those things, then you are stupid. It's that simple. Stupid is, again, not learning, ignorant, and you've got an opinion. Now, if you are in the process of working toward those things, and you know, and your arrogance is non-existence, and your ignorance is being resolved with learning, and you have abandoned all your opinion because you've realized, oh, I'm stupid. Oh, great. You are officially not stupid, and now you're actually learning. So your options are you're either stupid, you are learning, or you're a genius. Those are your 3 options. Now, the genius is there regardless, but whether or not you're too stupid to get to, it's your problem. But if we sit here and talk about how nice you want me to be, you're not going to get any better, which is stupid. So we're instead just going to come right out and say, you're stupid, because if you're not a genius and if you're not learning, you're an idiot. If you are learning, well, then this doesn't apply to you. You need to remember, I've got 12 or 11 other people here. Genius, you don't need me. We're probably collaborating already, and you're fine. And you're going, oh my God, I got this idea I need to share with you. And you're on a whole nother level. You are my people. I used to be stupid. Every genius used to be stupid. Every genius went through the breakdown process of, oh, wow, I'm stupid. I need to learn. Look at that. I'm a genius, which is now why we're geniuses. Geniuses are just formerly stupid people. So if you are not yet a genius, it's because you are stupid and your stupid is getting in the way, or you're learning. So now that we've got your ego, arrogance, and all that jazz sorted out, if you are a domestic violent victim, one of the things that I make very clear is you can't escape because they're smarter than you, but they're really fucking stupid. You can look at them and go, oh my God, they're so stupid, and they caught you. Yep. Eat that humble pie, because that's it right there. You get away from your abuser, but they're constantly in your head. That is literally the feeling of stupid, because PTSD is a logic loop from a missing piece of logic because you're not learning. That's all it is. It is literally being stupid because you lack logic. So you need to be learning logic to fix the PTSD. What you are probably thinking about is intelligent. That's probably what you're thinking about when it comes to stupid, but that's not what that means at all. In fact, I haven't even brought up your IQ or your intelligence until now. It's not relative. It doesn't matter how smart you are if you're too stupid to realize it. It doesn't matter how much of a genius you are if you're too stupid to even know you can't communicate. Intelligence is a whole nother topic. And I'm not even talking about that. That's neither here nor there. So that is your brief lesson on stupid. If you are an ant or a grasshopper, that matters. A grasshopper is somebody who wants to nourish other people, or they literally play. They play to work. They play to work. That is vital. They literally nourish. Most grasshoppers are cultivators. Cultivators they're playmates. They are, I need a word for this. They're literally just, they play. They don't, that's what they do. They have to play. Play is you can spend energy mentally. You can spend energy through play. You can spend any energy through physical labor. So these are the three ways you can work. Work means to spend energy. In physics, that's what it means, because you're borrowing the word from physics. So you should probably look at what the word actually means. So when you are spending energy, you can spend energy mentally through play or through physical labor. Now, if you are a laborer, then you are working physically. If you are playing, you are spending energy, you are working through enjoyment. And if you are, well, it's all enjoyment. It should be all enjoyment. Mentally, that would be your scientists, pioneers, visionaries. So those are your three ways you can work. Let me see if there's anything else here. Business owners. Right. I covered the business owner. So I had the business owner covered. I had the parent covered. I had the educator covered. Did not cover pilgrims yet. I'll be getting to the pilgrims here in a minute. The war vets. Healers. What a fucking nightmare of a mess that is. I'm not here to salvage anyone's job. I'm not. I can't justify it. You're fucking enabling. You're a codependent, narcissistic, toxic piece of shit. Quit your fucking job. Which is what 50% of psychologists do when they do the ethics and they go, oh, this is unethical, and then they quit. This is why 50% of psychologists don't have degrees, which means the ones who still are in practice are the unethical ones. Because the ethical ones, 50% of psychologists have exited the field. What does that tell you? Don't fucking, just stay away from healers. Stay away from them. Fucking enabling piece of shit. If you are not DIYing this, then you have failed the lesson. You have failed and violated the second ethic. And now you've surrendered your self-authority. I can't help you. Get the fuck out of my, go away. I have no tolerance for that shit. The whole thing revolves around the foundation of nurturing your authority, your own self-authority. You cannot have it any other way. It's called the forbidden fruit paradox. The moment you surrender your self-authority over to a professional, you are now part of the forbidden fruit paradox, and you have failed the lesson. They are now preying on you, and they are taking advantage of your ignorance for their ego. I will not work with healers. I can't touch it. I will not touch a psychologist. There's nothing to be done there, which is why 50% of them have walked out of their own profession. It's only a matter of time before they just die and burn, and the whole thing just, yeah, their days are numbered. So I'm not even going to bother. No. If I were a psychologist today, I would quit and then I would become a light worker. That's what I would do. I would quit and become a light worker. And that's it. I would quit and become a light worker. So that's your option. You could become now an educator. Yeah, salmon of knowledge. I'm not even touching that. And that's almost the same thing. It's almost the same thing. But again, I cover that in salmon of knowledge. So if I say salmon of doubt, you need to know I absolutely adore Douglas Adams. And he, in his smart assness, decided to rewrite the salmon of knowledge with the salmon of doubt. And every time I say salmon of knowledge, my Douglas Adams brain is in there going, say salmon of doubt, salmon. I'm not saying salmon of doubt. And that's like constantly going. So my pilgrims, I love my pilgrims. My pilgrims are the people who's like, I don't want to do any of that. I just want to get better. You're a pilgrim. My pilgrims are also my philosophers. The pilgrims, try to healing part 1. Now, you're going to have levels. Again, this is going to be a spectrum. Everything I've given you is, I'm giving you if you really want to get serious and right down to this. This is the maxed out. This is what you need to do. If you are somebody who wants to go all out, I'm giving it to you. And as I said, after today's session, I'm going to have all of this available on my website. We're going to call it something. What should we call this? That way you guys can find it on my website. It's going to be on my menu under the healing stones. So this is going to be called your healing journey plan. This is it right here. So your healing journey plan. Now in Triadic Healing Part 1, we cover how you can find out if you're an artist, how to find out if you're a scientist or a communicator. We find out if you are, like I'm doing quizzes and all that jazz, so you can figure all this shit out. So we walk you through that. Once you have your identification, you're going to also get your combination. Your identification is basically how you identify. For instance, well, I am a philosopher. This means that I am an artist, a science. I am an integrated all of them. That's what I am. A philosopher is the one who integrates all of them. Now, you can aspire to be a philosopher, and that could be your destination, but you need to make it very clear that it is separate from where you are. So we're going to be covering in this section, and I'm going to be starting this here soon in this live today. We're going to be covering how to build your healing journey plan. You know what? I'm actually going to change that right now over on the title here. So we're going to be changing this to your healing journey plan. Your healing learning journey plan. That's it. And all right, this is it right here. This is my passion. You have no fucking idea. What I'm doing today, talking about this is what I love doing. There we go. So we're basically going to be covering, this is what's coming next. We're just not there yet. I'm giving you the preliminary for this. We're going over the curriculum, we're going over the syllabus, and then after that, I'm going to be covering with you identification and all that. So there's the syllabus, and now what you need, I got to keep this in my head, guys, because if I get a vision between point A and point B, we're all screwed, and then we'll never know what it is I have to say. So we have the identification. And again, this is all in getting started. If you go to my website, there's a link, you hit getting started, and it will drop you right where you need. So there's like an onboarding process. There's one for Pando. If you go to, I also have categories on my coursework, and in the categories, I have resources. And when you click on resources, you have the front desk, you have getting started, you have Pando. And that is like the university hub. That's where we all start. And then from there, it opens into this massive door of your identification process and all of that jazz. So your identification, your combination. And then after that, we get into your journey plan, like all the different pieces of it and what it looks like. Now, one of the things that we're going to need to cover is also the 12 ethics, in the sense where I just gave you like, okay, if you are a scientist, if you are an artist, but you also have your 12 ethics to take into account. And every one of your 12 ethics is going to be different. Now, we also need to talk about your genie bottle, and we're going to cover that. This is some of the stuff we're going to be covering today. Your genie bottle, we're going to be covering your kindergarten room, and we're going to be covering your discovery center. Now, 100% of all of this is already done. I'm going to have a couple people who come in, and if you want the science to what I'm doing, it's over at AnnaImagination.com. The science is there. If you want to understand the theory, that is Triadic Healing Part 1 and 2. You can also look at The Theory of Love, which is my book that breaks all of this down. And that one is done. I just have to do the 12 ethics, but I don't think I think that one's like 80% written. But again, it's available on my website. As soon as the books are done, they're going to be uploaded. Right now, they're just in a Google Doc form where you can view and read them as I'm writing them. Once they are complete, they're going on Amazon. Broken is already on Amazon. Breaking Delusion is the big one. That is like let me get into your brain and break it for you to show you where you need to look. But I do it through story and gently with fun-filled characters. So there's Breaking Delusion. And then after that, it gets into Theory of Love and then Salmon of Knowledge. So those are in the works. And then if you love fantasy, I've got my really ass weird dystopian and my fantasy book as well. Those are also on Amazon. So identification combination. So we're going to cover identification. My identification, I'm going to give you an example while I also walk you through what all this means. So I am both an ant and a grasshopper. A grasshopper is one who they literally play. They nourish, and their focus is you got somebody who's working, who's laboring, and then you have somebody who knows how to ease their burden. So do you have somebody who's just focused 100% on their work? Or do you have somebody or are you somebody who wants to ease the burden of others? If you are someone who wants to ease the burden of others while they work, you're a grasshopper. If you are somebody who is just focused on just let me work, you are an ant. You can be both. You can be a hybrid. 100% of everything I tell you, you can be both. So with the ant, you're going through and you have 100% of your work. You're pushing through it. You're doing whatever it is you want and you're solely focused. With the grasshopper, it's all about easing your burden or easing their burden. So you're using your music to ease their burden, you're whatever. So once you figure out if you're an ant or a grasshopper, like I said, now for an example, I'm both. I am 100%. See, and I'm sitting here in your work doing grasshopper things. So yeah. So I am both. The next thing is whether or not you're going to look at your role in society. And then you're going, see, I didn't even cover that one. I'm glad I'm doing this. That way I can look for gaps. And then you're going to look at your communication style. Your communication style is, are you an artist, communicator, or scientist? If you are an artist, you are going to see image first. You are not going to understand something unless you draw it. You are the people who, when I'm talking to you, you're doodling. Those are my artists. That is because you don't understand something until it goes into your primary communication style. Linguist, eat your fucking heart out. Your primary communication style is when you've got art, science, and storytelling. And it's how you interpret the world. That is it right there. It's how you interpret everything. It means that 100% of everything spoken to you has to be translated into X in order for you to understand it. Everything. And if you do not know your communication style, you are going to be in trouble. Parents, it is your job to identify this in your child as soon as possible. It is not urgent. However, identify it in your child as soon as possible. And there are clues. I will be teaching you how to do the clues so you can identify what you need to identify in your child. But before you do that, you really need to figure it out in yourself. You cannot help your child if you cannot do this yourself. So your communication style is how you understand the world. Artists are going to be the ones in future classrooms who have to have a doodling art studio while they study science. Now, that's going to sound really fucking weird, I know, and I explained why it's weird in the Salmon of Knowledge, but this is really it. You're going to have a group of artists sitting in the classroom with easels, painting, drawing. So while they're up there talking about chemistry and biology and physics, the artist is listening and drawing it out at the same time. This is mandatory for their brains to understand. They are translating science into art so they can speak it. When a teacher or just an asshole bully in a classroom interferes with this process by telling them that they can't draw well and they have to listen, they're actually interrupting the listening process. Big, big fucking problem. So now the child can't learn because their learning comprehension has been taken away by the fucking idiot standing in the front of the classroom. Now you've got storytellers, people, communicators who don't understand anything unless it's in story mode. Storytellers are the ones who everything that is spoken to them has to be done in a logical mathematical sequence, order of events of point of origin all the way to the end. It's a full story. Story is logic and growth, which is also love. Love is also all of these things. So story, logic, growth, love, these are all the same thing. These are all the same fucking thing. And the sooner you learn that, the easier this is going to be. So the storyteller is somebody who has to understand beginning, middle, end, and the whole thing flows out in an order of operations, and it's logic. These are the logicians of the world. Which means they're not going to understand it if you skip a step. You need to read Sophie's World if this applies to you. The scientist is the person who has to they have to break it down in theory and comprehension. They have to see the logical proof to understand it. They have to see the mathematical formula. So they're the people who speak in formula. So either you're speaking in drawing, image, interpretation, you are speaking in story and logic, or you are speaking in formula and formula. You're speaking in physics. You have to understand how all the components interact and integrate into each other. And you're going to have a primary and you're going to have a secondary. That's something else I've learned. You can develop these skills, but that's not going to change the fact that you still have a primary communication style. So you also might have a secondary communication style. I have yet to meet anyone who has, like, the tertiary style is going to be your weakest. So you have your strongest, your second strongest, and then your weakest. So primary, secondary, tertiary. That's what you've got for your communication style. The next thing you are going to do is you are looking at your role in society. Your role in society is huge. This is going to tell you how you interact with people. Your role in society is literally your foundational, cultivator, visionary, pioneer. Now, this is where we're going to have a nice sit-down, warm, heart-to-heart. Our society is intolerant of everybody except foundationals. Society was made only for the foundational. Cultivators don't even exist. Visionaries and pioneers are thrown away and they have to fight their way through their world. Once they land into the world of science, oh, everything is fine over there, and then we John Galted your asses. So the visionaries and the pioneers have John Galted your asses and they're sailing away. There are no cultivators, and the foundationals are running the world. This was the work that I did when I went, oh, holy fucking shit, we are screwed. It's like in Douglas Adams, when they take all the intelligent people and they put them on the A ship. And, well, the A people, actually, the geniuses got it in their head that they don't need the foundationals. So they take all the foundationals and they put them on the C ship and they send them away. Oh, we're going to be right behind you. And the C ship, which is all the foundationals who don't actually do anything, crash landed on prehistoric Earth, supplanted the Neanderthal who would go on to become man, and instead we evolved from a bunch of telephone sanitizers. Those are the foundationals, which explains everything, actually. That's highly logical. Really, really amazingly highly logical. Meanwhile, because they got rid of all the phone sanitizers, they contracted a disease from a dirty telephone, and all of the geniuses died. So Douglas Adams. I love Hitchhiker's Guide. So all of the foundationals are the laborers, but they're not the thinkers. All the thinkers are the visionaries and the pioneers. Now, this is really, really important. You're not supposed to stay in foundational. You're born there, but you're supposed to be nourished into cultivator and then nourished into visionary and pioneer. But the cultivators are gone and they're not doing their job because no one knows about this shit. So you're a foundational, good luck getting out. The really, really good people, I mean the fucking geniuses, have to figure all this out, evolve into being their own cultivator, and then they turn themselves into cultivators to nourish themselves out, and then they're cast aside and they say, fuck you, I'm John Galting your ass because you made it so hard. So that's the system you've got. What I do is I take all the foundationals and I assume they're all eventually going to become cultivators. So I nourish all of the foundationals until they stop being consumers and they start being resource generators. And then we nourish them into cultivation. Now, they're all going to be nourished equally, but they're all going to grow at their own pace. Sometimes somebody needs more nourishment than others. There's also, this is the way gardening works. You're going to have those ambitious people who hoard up all of the nutrients and then they go on, which leaves room for the other ones to then take up that space. So they need to be harvested. You need to nourish the foundationals and then harvest them. And that's what we're going to be doing. Only a lot more nourishing in graduation and a lot less Soylent Green and Matrix sounding. I say harvest and I'm like, wow, that sounds like something else. So you're supposed to nourish all the foundationals. And then as they move into cultivation, the cultivators are supposed to nourish the foundationals to nourish themselves. Now they're going to go, oh my God, this is fantastic. And they might stay there and that's what they do. And that's okay. And then they will continue to grow into a visionary cultivator or a pioneer cultivator. And then they might leave the cultivator and go over to visionary pioneer and play here. And then they might come back and go, oh no, I want to be a cultivator again. And now you're supposed to move all the way through all four of these, wherever you need. And then you've got more foundationals who move up into the cultivation. And then they stay there. You have some people who move into cultivation and they say, but I really love being a foundational. So they might stay working in the foundational while also working on cultivation. So they're cultivation foundationals. Now they're nourishing the other foundationals, raising that standard. Sometimes they might go on to be visionaries. So you'll have a visionary foundational, but they'll stay primarily in foundational type work. Chefs do this. Gordon Ramsay is a foundational. Gordon Ramsay is a foundational. He's a chef. Chefs, cooks. Oh, this is all foundational work. There is no ifs, ands, or buts. You are a fucking laborer. You don't think it's labor? Work in a kitchen. It's labor. And you're working with the people, like in the field. Nurses, healers are foundationals and cultivators. And you're supposed to move. But you don't have to stay there. You can become a visionary foundational. You can become a pioneer foundational. Knowing where you are in the spectrum is vital. Absolutely vital. 100% of us are born into a foundational role and we are expected to stay there. When we dream about being a visionary, we immediately abandon the dream and we go right back down to being small. This is the small-mindedness, is you're thinking like a foundational. Most people are not supposed to stay foundational. Cultivator is not a teacher. A cultivator is somebody who nourishes others. Now, you might be going, I'm not a fucking cultivator. Great, you don't have to be. You need to nourish yourself and you need to learn it. That way you can move into visionary mode. Now, if you're a business owner, you are a cultivator because you are putting something in place to nourish the people. In addition to that, you might be a visionary, but you don't want to nourish the people. Okay, now you are you ready for this? Building something that is going to eventually later on nourish the people without you having anything to do with the people. You don't have to work with the people to be a cultivator. You can be an isolated CEO in a company, but your business is nourishing people. You just don't have to work with them. That's what I do. I am a cultivator and a visionary and a pioneer. I am not a foundational, which is why my comments are turned off, because I'm not a foundational. I don't do the whole people thing. Not at all. That's not good for me. That is so fucking not good for me. I'm not okay with that. That's not my mental health. That's not my life stream. I am not a foundational. So I've had a lot of people who shit on me because I'm not a foundational. Fuck them. I know what I am. I know what I am better than you know what you are. So, and this is what it comes down to. Once you know who you are, once you understand this, and you're going, oh, wait a minute, I understand what's wrong with my life. I've been a foundational when I'm really a visionary. I am so sorry. We're going to take care of that for you. So, looking at the way all of this is set up. Now, here's the other thing, because this is a lot of things of, but what about my resources? What we got that taken care of. The problem is, well, we have two things going on right now. We are in the process of setting up the resources. And I mean, give us a month. We're there. The second side of this is you guys haven't even graduated from Try to Healing Part 2 yet. You don't need resources to do Try to Healing Part 1 and Part 2. You don't. So this is coming. We have this massive, we have free money, basically. And I'm not going to get into the science of it right now because that's not the point. When I tell people, really, like, just give us our dreams, we'll take care of it for you. We've got you covered. But your job is to get through Try to Healing Part 1 and 2. By the time you are done with Try to Healing Part 2, we're going to have the facility set up to literally fund whatever the fuck you want. Anything. It's called the Pay It Forward loan. Meaning, it's free now. Do whatever the fuck you need. We're going to get you through your mental illness, get you right back onto your life stream, disappropriate all of that roaming garbage from you, restore your mind to you. You tell us what dreams you have. We give you the tools, as in how to learn, to accomplish your own dreams, and then we fund it for you. And that's it. That's it. And we ask that you pay it forward by 3. Pay it forward loan. So all we want to do is turn a consumer into a resource generator. That's the plan. No, that is what we're doing. It is what we are. That is the Radical Global Healing Plan. But you don't get access to the funding until you complete Try to Healing Part 1 and 2. The only fucking requirement is Try to Healing Part 1 and 2. That's it. That's it. You want free money? Try to Healing Part 1 and 2. You don't know how to learn? Try to Healing Part 1. You have a learning disability? No, you don't. Try to Healing Part 1. So that's where we are. That's what we're setting up for. Is we are in the process of creating, nourishing, and then plugging in cultivators to help nourish foundationals into cultivation mode to get them into visionary mode. And once we replace the cultivators, once we plug them into society, this is all going to be fixed. I cannot tell you on such a level. We have a lot of people who don't know how to be cultivators. The people who should be cultivating are doing jack and fucking shit because they're idiots. So we currently are in a situation where we have no educational system and we have no cultivators. So we're fixing that. That is our highest agenda. So once you know your role in society, roles, actually it needs to be plural. Once you know your roles in society, once you understand your communication, your primary communication and your second communication, you are also going to need to know if you are an ant or a grasshopper. Now that gorgeous combination is going to tell you so fucking much about yourself. We haven't even gotten to the 12 ethics yet. That is just your story. That is just your identity. Your story is the next part. So that's just your identity. And then you have your story. And then you have your operations. This is all Triadic Healing Part 1, by the way. This is 100% what's covered. We do a whole walkthrough, quizzes, all that jazz. And then from there, the combination. The combination, yep, we're going to have to do it. So your combination is the 12 ethics. It's knowing your ethical perspective. Now, this is your ethical IQ. I will not ever talk about intelligence IQ. That to me is the biggest bunch of bullshit, and that's over there, and that's not my realm, and that's just something to shit on. I don't touch intelligence or IQ. So fucking irrelevant shit. So your ethical IQ. And your ethical IQ is composed of your authentic IQ, your authentic ethical IQ, your subconscious minds. I'm going to say your self-preservation. It's your self-preservation IQ. EQ, EIQ, EIQ, ethical IQ, EIQ. So we have IQ, EQ, and EIQ. So your authentic ethical IQ is your values, and it's what you actually want to be, what you hold dear. That's your identity's ethic. You're also going to have your self-preservation's ethic. Now, your self-preservation ethic is in charge. Your self-preservation's ethical IQ is in charge. That is your primary. Actually, it's not. It's your self-preservation. Your primary is your authentic identity, or your identity's ethical IQ. But if your self-preservation has taken over, it doesn't exist anymore. So I'm going to say again, your self-preservation is in charge of your ethical IQ. And then after that, you're going to have your environmental IQ, or I'm sorry, environmental ethical IQ. These three combinations is what is going to determine your level of alignment, sanity, mental illness, all of it. We're going to cover this. Your authentic ethical IQ, your identity, is what you value. I'm going to use myself as an example while I go through this. So for me, that was animal rights. Animals are equal. I was a sixth perspective at 4 years old because animals were equal to us. We were the same. I was no different at all than any animal. We were absolutely the same. So at 4 years old, I had an ethical IQ of 6. Now, by 8, by 8 years old, I had an ethical IQ of 8. Oh, yeah, definitely. And at 12, I was at a solid 12. So I evolved properly with everything. Like, my identity was right where it needed to be. So my identity IQ stayed completely with my age. So I've always been aligned with my identity. My identity and I are like, my age, my body, and my identity have always been aligned. So you have your body, your physical age, and you have your identity age. And they must be aligned. So mine's always been aligned. The self-preservation is going to be what it's safe to be at. Mine was at a 2, a 3, and a 4 most of my life. I hit 3 at 15 years old. Yep. I never had a problem with 2. Oh, I had no problem with 2. Yep. I remember hitting 5 in 2015. So when I was 35 years old, I hit 5 years old. This is my self-preservation system. So my self-preservation, when I was 15 years old, I was 15, 3, 3. So when I was 15 years old, I was 15, 15, 3, 3. Hence mental illness. At 35 years old, I was 35, 5, 3. And then at 40 years old, I was 35, 6, 6. No, I was 40. At 42, I was at 42, 6. That's when I started going up. 8, and then 8. So you're literally, you want alignment. As soon as you hit alignment, the whole thing changes. The whole fucking thing changes. Another way it can be read, and I'm going over the 15, 35, 40. What those are is levels of consciousness, but if you were to translate them, it'd be in the U of I, the 12th, the 7th of the U of I. So it would be 6, 3, 3. It would be 5, 3, 30, all of these different variations. And what you are looking at is where your identity is in relativity to your self-preservation system, but your self-preservation is in charge. So if you are a 3, then you are a 3. Your environment is going to match the dominant perspective in your household. The dominant perspective in your household is going to determine your perspective. Every time you step outside, you are in the 4th perspective. All environments in the United States, the average is the 4th perspective. It is the 4th perspective. You might be in a village where it's 2. You might be in a neighborhood that's 6. You might be in a village that's 4. But the whole societal everything is 4. The schools are 4. The bus systems are 4. Churches are 2s. If you have a religious home, that's going to be 2. And whoever is the most, and wherever your subconscious mind stopped developing or growing is where your self-preservation is. Your self-preservation, and this is it right here, is you are not allowed to grow safely. You are not allowed to grow. So it was growth versus, yeah, that's it. It was the growth versus the self. So that's it right there. Growth versus the self. Growth versus love, which is a catch-22 because growth is love. So it becomes more like growth versus fear, which is love versus fear. You are not going to be mentally okay until those numbers all align, which is why a person who is feeling like they need to be at the point of comprehension is screaming, oh my God, I got to get to where you are. That's your identity. Now your self-preservation is going to keep you all the way over there at the 2nd, 3rd, 4th ethic. Triadic healing is going to get you out of that. So the majority of people are, and I'm going to be blunt, if you have a trust issue, you are missing one of the first 3 ethics. Learning is prerequisitional. There is no skipping. There is no shortcut. That is Roman bullshit. You can't do it here. There is no shortcut. There is no cheat. It is not compatible with the Roman mindset. You're going to have to do the work. So what we are looking at is if you have trust issues, you need to go back to the first ethic. That's where you start. In fact, I'm huge on no one should ever skip any of the ethics to think, oh, well, I'm a fifth, so I'm just going to start here. No. If you think you're a fifth and you think you're all set and good to go and you just need to go with 5, if you didn't have a missing or broken foundational perspective like 1, 2, 3, or 4, then you wouldn't be stuck at 5. If you are stuck at 5, it's because you're missing 1, 2, 3, or 4. If you're stuck at 6, it's because you're stuck at 1 and 2. If you are stuck at 3, it's because you are missing 1 and 2. If you're stuck, you are missing 1, 2, and 3. Everyone's got to go back to the beginning. The only ones who I have seen, and here's the thing, is if you aren't stuck, then you're genius with me. And if you're a DIYer who's already got this all set because you figured it all out, they're the ones who figured it out because they're not stuck. If you're in the oasis, you are a 2. You are 1. You are missing the first and the second ethic. You got to go back to the beginning because you're stuck. If you're stuck, you're not learning, which is why you're stupid. Stupid is stuck. Stupid is not learning. If you're learning, then you're not at the 6th ethic. I'm 45, 44, and I'm 45. I'm not stuck. So if you're not 40 years old and you're at the 40th level of consciousness, then you're stuck. If you're a 6th perspective and you're talking about chakra stones and colors, dude, you have an ethical IQ of 6 because you're missing 1, 2, and 3. You've got work to do. But if you're sitting in the oasis claiming to be healed, you're really stupid because you're so stupid you don't know how stupid you are. See, now we're back to this again, which is not why it's now I'm looking at it going, okay, well, this is what I've been looking at for the last 2 years. I'm going, okay, so somebody who is intelligent is actually completely growing all on their own without any work from this, and they're already geniuses. And they've already invented a cure for world peace. They've already collaborated with some amazing companies, and they've already built a program like this. Oh, I'm the only one? Well, why do you think that is? It's because everyone else is stupid. Thank you. Yes. And that's the point. Like over and over again, no matter how many times I reworded this logic loop, I'm going, they're stuck. They're stuck. And you're stuck because you are missing the first, second, and third ethical perspective. It's mostly that second perspective. You cannot touch the Roman educational system without it fucking up your second ethical perspective. So you're shut down. You're going to have symptoms of second ethical perspective of ADHD, PTSD, any mental illness, pick them all. It is a symptom of the first, second, third ethical perspective. Every mental illness is a symptom of you missing the first, second, third ethical perspective. Every single one of them. It's because you have logical fallacy, because you're at the 5th perspective without the first, second, third, so you have logical gaps. Because you have logical gaps, you have placeholders. Probably a bunch of stupid fiction that you invented to get through whatever shit you needed because you lacked the education and logic to actually form a proper logic loop. So you created a placeholder. And then you believed your own stupid lie, forgot that you made it up, and now you defend it to the letter, and now you're not growing because you have fucked up your own logic. Necessarily, possibly because you needed the logic, but now it's time to go back and fix that. The only way to fix it is to learn logic. Read Sophie's World. So over and over again, no matter how many different ways you can articulate this or break it down, it's always the same thing over and over again. Get your ass back to the first ethic, back to triadic healing, and go through it. So I don't like to sit down and go over all the fucking ethical perspectives. I don't. There's something in my brain that's going, no. And I think the reason why, I know the reason why. It's the Akashic Record paradox. That's why. So I'm going to explain that later. But as far as why I won't teach you about the details on the 12 ethics, I think that's why. It's because I keep going, no, it's going to create a paradox. It'll create a paradox. It'll create a paradox. Okay, then. So I won't touch it. I have to think about that. I need to go through all of the logic on that to confirm before I give that to you. But with what you get in Try to Killing Part 1, it goes through it for you. It automatically gets you right where you need and you're set. I got to break down more about the 12 ethics before I do that. I have to really think about that. So we have something in our brains called placebo effect. And that leads to mass hysteria. Placebo effect is a medical science condition where 50% of the time, if you tell someone that they've got something, they will have it. 50% of the time, if you hand someone sugar and say it's medicine, they will feel the effects. 50% of the time, if you hand somebody something, their mind will invent it for them. This is manifestation. Placebo effect means 50% of the time manifestation works. So when you tell a bunch of people that they're magical, that they can manifest with placebo effect, 50% of the time they do. 1 out of 2 people can manifest just through placebo effect. So if I tell you about the 12 ethics, you're going to manifest that shit the way I tell you to. That's not going to be natural. That's my way. You need to figure out what your way is your way. Now we have a problem. So I'm going, do I teach it to you? Because now we're looking at placebo effect. Or do I give you the starter and then I step back and I let you do it? Now I'm just going to fall back into the arms of Plato and Pythagoras and do what they did. Because they already thought about this and they already did it, and they did it for me. Where they said, no, because of placebo effect and 1 out of 2 chances you'll manifest it, we're just going to give you the material and then step away and let you do it. If I tell you what the 12 ethics are and I walk you through the process, now I can give you the what to look for, but even then, I don't like to do that. Because you don't know if you shifted if you're not reporting. I need data. Now we're looking at me needing a control group. So I'm going to be creating a survey where you guys can go through and you can put together what you need. And that way I can analyze the statistics. My cat decided now's the time to start pushing everything off the table. Love cats. So we need a survey where you report where you are ethically, where you think you are ethically, what your values, ethics, everything is. We already have this all set. And then the survey is assessing your physical composition. This is where we start to need research. And this is one of the things we're actually putting together is the research facility. Meanwhile, I'm looking at it going, if I give you the 12 ethics. Now, there's substantial data already of these 12. That's Dr. Graves did 8 of these. So I'm going, yeah, I was able to take his work and go, yeah, okay, yeah. So I'm looking at this going, the problem is the manifestation. The problem is the manifestation, which I already know how to get around that. So the next thing of this is mass hysteria. Mass hysteria is when everybody has placebo effect and then the other 50% gets it. So 50% of you are going to have placebo effect where you manifest it. The other half is going to do the mimic, mirror, repetition response where you copycat it because you see it. So 50% of you are magical. The other are just parrots. So are you a parrot or are you magical? Now, I'm going to tell you right now, most of you are parrots because you have the Roman educational system. The Roman educational system does not teach you how to be independent outside of parroting. It does not teach you how to stop mimicking, mirroring, and repeating. All the ancient Greek educational system does is teach you how to break out of mimic, mirror, repetition response and move you into independent thinking. So now here I am going, Where do I really have to just take a step back with the 12 ethics. So here's my problem with the Akashic records. I finished the universal code last night. By the time I was done, I was reverse engineering dinosaurs. And I went, whoa, I got through humanity. Fucking fantastic. That was hard. And now I'm in the universe, or I'm in the dinosaur era, and I'm putting that together through the code. And as I'm putting it through the code, and I'm seeing where, okay, so I'm at the meteor hitting. That's where I'm at now. And I'm going, all right, something really massively hit me here. I got a massive, what are the Akashic records anyway? It's the first time in my life I've wanted to look at them. So I Googled Akashic records last night, and I read that they are, I did this yesterday on live. I read that they are everything that has ever been. And I went, whoa. And I shut it right down and I went, wait a minute. That's one account. Mine is the second. I have written the second Akashic records. So there's the Akashic records and then there's my version. Now, I've never touched the Akashic records until yesterday. I didn't even know what the fuck those things were. They just annoyed the fuck out of me. Because every time anyone came near me with them, I had this massive get those things away from me. I know why. Because my logical intuition kicked in and said, placebo effect. So I wrote out all of the logical code as I see it, as I know it. I wrote Anna's records. So you've got the Akashic records and you've got Anna's records. Now we get to compare them. Don't fucking touch them. I get to compare them and see if they match. If they match, then all of you, most likely, no, you will match. But if they don't match, every single one of us is a piece of a larger puzzle. This feels more right. This feels more right. This feels more right. It feels like mine are going to go this way, theirs are going to go that way. And then when we're all done, we're all going to have our own records and we're going to merge them all together. And that's going to be the true story. Did you read the Akashic records? If you did, you're fucked. Because now you've got the Akashic record paradox, because you now have placebo effect, and there's a good chance you're going to manifest shit that didn't even happen to you, that has nothing to do with you, that you took out of the Akashic records because your dumbass decided to read them. Now you have tainted data. You are invalid. Can't use you. Dumbass. I didn't know? Then why weren't you learning? I didn't know. Why weren't you learning? Because you're stupid. You see how this keeps going around it. But I didn't know. Then why weren't you learning? This is why ignorance is not an excuse of the law. Because why weren't you learning? Ignorance is no excuse. Why weren't you learning? Oh, because you're stupid. So if you read the Akashic records, you're a dumbass. Because now you have tainted material. Are you manifesting it or are you independent? Chances are you're just going to manifest it from placebo effect. And now all of you dumb fucks are walking around with mass hysteria because all of you dumb fucks have read the Akashic records. So now you're copying some asshole, Mr. Akashic, from God knows when, and you're just accounting his rather than being the author of your own because you have a violated second ethical perspective. Compliments of the Roman Empire. See the problem here. Thank you, dear. I can protect it from the cat. Words matter. She loves to say, can you watch my food? Which is actually, can you protect it from the cat? And there were days where I sat there and watched her food while the cat ate it. And then she's like, what are you doing? You said watch it. So I watched it. This is how you parent language to children. So she's learned to say, could you protect my food? Yes, now that I can do. But she just did it again. She's still learning. She's like, could you watch my food? I'm watching it. He's nowhere near here, honey. I will protect your food. So this is a problem now. If you've read the Akashic records, you can't participate. You can't participate. You're done. You can go through triadic healing, but you have now tainted data. So now it's like, great. How do you tell if what you have is you or you've copied it from something? I've never copied it from anything, so I don't know how to reverse engineer that yet. So because of your dumbasses, I've got to figure out how to reverse engineer that. But I've never done it because I've never in my life had an unoriginal thought. I don't even know how to fucking do that. I don't know if I can because that's not where my learning journey took me. So I might not be able to help you on that front because I don't know how to do it. I have no fucking idea how to remove manifestation from placebo effect due to unoriginal thought. I don't even have logical comprehension in my entire system to even understand that. It's illogical. I know it's illogical. But it's illogical. I know it's illogical. It's a catch-22. It is, which is why it's called the Akashic Record Paradox. They're fucked. They are fucked. I can't help them. They're tainted data. So do not touch the Akashic records until you have written your own records. Do not. You have no fucking business touching someone else's records. I almost want to say, well, that's just it, is when you read mine. Well, no, here's the thing. I can sit down just a minute because the paradox continues, because if you read my logical code, then it could also taint yours unless you are objective. Unless you are objective, you can learn how to be objective. You'd have to abandon all bias. It's bias. Is it bias? It would have to be bias. You are going to have to do a cleanse. How the fuck do you do that? You're going to have to change your story. See, this is where it gets into this is why I hate paradox. If you change your story, then you have a bias of purposely removing it when it might be your story. You no longer have plausible deniability. That's what you've done. You've removed plausible deniability. You have ruined your own credibility now because you read the Akashic records. So when you read mine, see, what you want to do is read it for comparison, but you have to know what you're writing in order to compare. You have to be the author of your own story. It's like writing your own book and then reading Tolkien and then comparing the two. It's like that. But some people will read Tolkien and absorb it and integrate it into themselves. Oh, no, now we're fucked. Now we're fucked. And then there's people who are going to try and conform their lives to fit the Akashic records. Well, now we're fucked. But I did teach all of this in Mental Diversification and Triadic Healing Part 1. So that should correct for that. That should divert them away from it. So when they feel their intuition pulling away from the Akashic records, if it does, then they'd be able to go, okay, this is where I'm supposed to go. My life branches off here. The question is, how much do they resist it? So now we're back to the 10th ethic of emotional fluidity. So it'd be so much easier if they just didn't read the Akashic records. So the question is, now if they read mine, when they read mine, and here's the thing is when they read mine, it goes through the process because mine is subconscious mind. So I have the subconscious mind, which is absolutely 100% predictable, and that's all of it. But then you also have the records. Now, I know the records, they're over there, and there's the subconscious mind. Triadic healing covers the subconscious mind, not the records. I don't talk about the records. The records are my philosophy. I don't talk about the records in Triadic healing. That's where I did it. That's why I created my philosophy. And that's why I have it as Tragic Healing Part 4. Tragic Healing Part 4 is my records, which is why it's Tragic Healing Part 4, is because you don't fucking touch my records until you've completed Tragic Healing Part 1, 2. At 2, you can choose to do 3, 4, or 5, or all of them at the same time. But you cannot touch Tragic Healing Part 3, 4, or 5 until you figure your shit out with Tragic Healing Part 1 and 2. So yeah, I'm all set. All right, so we're good. So triadic healing will only take you through the subconscious mind aspect, and that is like predictable formula. That's everyone's got that. That's not a problem. I already did the math to prove that. The 12 ethics will take you through that. Not a problem. The 12 ethics are the subconscious mind, not the Akashic records, not Anna's records. So we're good. So we're going to cover the 12 ethics. Yes. All right. Now, when you do this, you are going to be writing your own version of the Akashic records. Stop fucking reading the Akashic records if you are now. Because you are complicating the situation further. There's your goddamn stupid 6 ethics. Fucking idiots. God fucking damn it. So, and I'm at a point, and the problem is the majority of my work attracts those people. The majority of my work attracts the Oasis people. And when I get the Oasis people, they tell me how superior they are, how righteous they are, how, oh, my crown chakra's open. I really, there's so much about them that just, they violate so many ethics. I would rather have a third ethical perspective around me than a sixth in most cases, because at least the thirds are honest about what they are. 6 are so fucking delusional. Yeah, they require a lot of humiliation. So yes, triadic healing is purified of my records. And I knew that. That's why I put Anna's records in with my philosophy. All right. I'm glad I already figured that connection out. I didn't do it logically. Well, I did it with logic, intuition, but I did not do it with consciousness. So thank you, universe, for taking care of that for me. So now that's your identity. That is your identification, and that's your combination. Your combination, really stick with it, is most of you, from what I've seen, have an ethical identity of 6. Most of you have an ethical identity of 5. 6. If you are a vegetarian or a vegan, you are a 6 in your identity. If you, yeah, but you are trying to be a 6. I need to say you are trying to be a 6. You are in the 6th trial. That's what it means. When I say you're a 6th perspective, you haven't learned the 6th perspective. It means you're in the trial. And the 6th perspective's trial is equal footing, which is why they are so fucking arrogant, is because they haven't learned equal footing yet. They've learned how to condescend on everybody else who's lower than them. They have learned how to put animals and children and the disadvantaged on a pedestal, but then they've learned how to shove themselves down below the lesser advantageous, because they don't trust their own self to be equal to without hurting other people. They don't know how to be equal without harm. That's it right there. They don't know how to be equal without harm. So they purposely throw themselves down while also condescending on everybody else, while also refusing to learn, while also flouting how arrogant they are. Like I said, I Oasis people. So, and when I put my work out there and I was attracting almost exclusively nothing but, it made me fucking pissed. Which is why I probably insult them the most, is to say, get the fuck out of my space. You have no business being here. You are too fucking ignorant for this work. Yeah, we do magic over here, but you got to be humbled to touch that shit. So the next thing is your journey plan. But before we do the journey plan, we're going to need to cover your genie bottle, your kindergarten, your discovery. The genie bottle is going to be, and here's the thing, is right after you learn it and you move out of the 6th ethic and you become a 7th ethic, it won't apply to you anymore. So I don't have to keep telling you how much of an asshole you are, because you're no longer a 6. See how awesome this is? It's only the 6 who are fucking assholes. Fortunately for all of us, we never stay in one of these perspectives for very long. Or you shouldn't. And if you are, you're a dumbass. So, genie bottle. The genie bottle is, now I'm going to give you the Roman words. Oh, this is going to be so much easier. So I'm going to give you the Roman narcissistic words, and then I'm going to give you the Greek words. The Roman narcissistic words are comfort zone and self-care. These two concepts were invented by the narcissists, the sixth perspectives, and this is why it's garbage. It's because that is actually the oasis, and it's garbage. So we are going to teach you the Greek way of doing this. You have 3 mindsets that you're going to toggle between. The 3 mindsets are genie bottle, kindergarten room, and discovery center. Now, these mindsets are basically the first 3 ethics. Now, just because you're practicing the genie bottle, kindergarten room, and discovery center does not at all mean that you are actually conquering the first, second, third ethic. Okay? It just means that we are providing the subconscious mind with familiar territory. So the subconscious mind can go, oh, I know what this is. This is in my natural programming and has been taken away from me for like all of my life. Yes, subconscious mind, and we're going to give it back to you. So genie bottle, kindergarten room, discovery center. Those are your 3 options. You are always, always, always going to be in one of these 3 mind spaces or head spaces. So these are your head spaces. That's a really good way of saying that, is it's your head space. So you are either going to be in a genie bottle headspace, a kindergarten room headspace, or a discovery center headspace. Your headspace, let me go on over to my course here at Try to Healing, because I just had this thought yesterday and I went, oh, I need to make sure I'm doing this. And I haven't been. And now I understand why. It's because I need to have the vision to see it all, to see all the pieces work. So what I want to do is go over the Radical Global Healing Plan. I am there now, and I'm going to go ahead and edit this while I talk to you because I want to put this in. That way, when I'm done with today, I can go through and update it. So everything up to this point has literally been just preliminary work to get this started. All right, this is excellent. All right. All right, so I left off on January 22nd. So I haven't done anything with this in a week, which is okay, because that's when I hit the interim rest and recalibrate day, and I went, what the fuck? And I had to do, and then I had to go inside the cave. I went inside the cave. So this is all the cave. So I'm going to go ahead and change all this over to the cave. The cave happened. So while yeah, that's definitely it. So this is what I had written out and had planned. And I'm definitely going to be doing this later, but I cannot be doing it now because it's not, and I have to do this first. So this is what happened was I basically was laying out the logical code for the Radical Global Healing Plan. And when I got to this part, I went, I have a logical code in here, I have a logical fallacy, and I could not continue. So I had to step out, go into the cave, fix all the logical code, and now I can come back to it. So I did the interim rest and recalibrate day. Now we are going to go ahead and we are doing, we're going to call this 160 plus IQ. Only the Radical Global Healing Plan. We're going to call it series, the 160 plus IQ series. Radical Global Healing Plan. Which is what this is. This is the 160 plus IQ series. All right. And this is, all right. So I'm going to have all of the things, all of the days, I'm going to drop those into here. But for now, I want to just, okay, let me go ahead and put this up here in order. All right, there we go. I'm going to go ahead and hit update this because I definitely want to copy down this headspace. This is material I haven't actually written out yet. And then I'm going, oh no, I definitely need to just at least make notes. That way when I'm done here, I can clean it all up for the class. So yes, this is beautiful. So this is where I'm going to be putting my notes, is right here in the coursework online on my website. This is at annashealinggarden.org. So these are the headspaces. So the headspaces is the genie bottle headspace. Yep, and I just need to do notes. Kindergarten headspace, and then the Discovery Center headspace. Now, the headspaces are the, and I'm going to say this again, you cannot exit these 3 spaces. There's no other option for you. Well, there are 2 other options. The other 2 options are no man's land and the escape room. Give me a minute. There's one more. And then there is, I'm just going to call it the 5th level of the subconscious mind, which is the unethical. So these are literally all the headspaces in the entire world. There's only 6 of them. There's also the catatonic state. The catatonic state would be, yeah, that's when that's when your logic loop. No. Nope. Let me think about this. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and do one more. It's catatonic. Yeah. But that's on a spectrum again, catatonic. All right, so catatonic headspace. All right, so these are, you've got your genie bottle, your kindergarten room, your Discovery Center. And then you've got no man's land, the escape room, and then you have the 5th level of the subconscious mind. It's the criminal mindset. But I don't want to use the word criminal because you've got some really good people who are in prison right now because the dumb fucks are in charge and they're not actually criminals. So I don't want to use the word criminal here. But the 5th level of the subconscious mind, or the unethical headspace, that's what that is. And then there is the catatonic headspace. So you are either in no man's land. Oh, and then there's the oasis. The oasis headspace. Yep, there you go. Yep. Okay, so you are either in the genie bottle, kindergarten room, Discovery Center. Those are your 3 healthy spaces. The other place are the no man's land, the escape room, and the oasis. And then there's the 5th level of the subconscious mind, the unethical headspace, and the catatonic headspace. That is all of them. That is all of them. Those are all of your headspaces. So your headspace is where your mind is at. It's literally where it's at. Now, a healthy mind will rotate between 3 of those, as in the genie bottle, the kindergarten room, the Discovery Center, as needed. You're supposed to rotate as needed between all 3 of those headspaces. When you do this, it's called self-regulation. That is what self-regulation is. That's what I'm teaching you now, is self-regulation. So when you're self-regulating, it is the ability to decide when you should be in the genie bottle, when you should be in the kindergarten room, when you should be in the discovery room. Now, if you are not self-regulating, there is a very good chance you have put yourself in no man's land, or you have put yourself in the escape room or the oasis. So if you have a healthy mind, so I'm going to say healthy, balanced, and self-regulated, which is the 3rd ethic, mind, is the genie bottle, the kindergarten room, the Discovery Center. You're supposed to be rotating between those all the time as needed. You will spend days in one of those rooms. You will spend an hour maybe. You might go to the genie bottle and then later the kindergarten room and then maybe over to the Discovery Center. If you are in one of those rooms more than a couple weeks, you've got a problem. If you are in, like, I went into the genie bottle. When I say I'm in the cave, that meant I was in my genie bottle. I was in my genie bottle for a week. I was doing some really fucking hard, deep shit work, but I was in my genie bottle for a week. That's why I wasn't out here. That's why I wasn't talking or anything. So when you're in one of these places, it's really fucking important that you utilize it to get out of it, because you're not healthy if you're not rotating. Now, if you've got mental work to do and you've got to go to the genie bottle, well, that's your workshop. That's where you need to go to get it done. And that's right. That's a really good way of putting it, is the genie bottle is the workshop. That is your mental workshop. Your mental workshop. Good God, that is it right there. Your headspace, your kindergarten headspace, that's where everything is low key. That's where everything is your casual, I like to say, soft learning. It's rest. It's learning at rest. Learning at rest. That's a really good way of putting it. You are learning at rest. And then the next one is hard, and that is learning at work. And that's it right there. So you have hard play work. Hard play work. You have soft play work. And then you have your mental workshop. And there it is. An unhealthy, unbalanced, unregulated mind is one that is in no man's land, the escape room, or the oasis. No man's land. That is where your second perspectives are, who are always working, never resting. They are in war mind. The escape room are your people who study with addictions and the unlived or the wallflowers. Those are usually your first ethical, no, those are your first ethics, first ethical perspectives. Second and thirds are in no man's land. The oasis is where the sixths go during their delusion. There it is. So on no man's land is the war mind of the second and ethical perspective. The escape room, I'm going to move the escape room first because I like it all in chronological order. So you have first perspective, second perspective. So no escape headspace, that is your addiction first ethical perspective. No man's land headspace is your second and third ethical perspective, always working, and they're in war mind. And then the oasis is the headspace six. This is your six ethical perspectives with their delusion. The people who are in the escape in no man's land are the ones who know they're in no man's land. They've got work to do and they're trying to get out. Those are my people. The oasis people are the ones who are actually in no man's land. They have found a bunker and are too stupid to realize that they are still in no man's land. Or they are in the oasis. Well, no, that's not it. I have yet to meet. And no. The oasis is literally where second ethics go. That is where second ethics go. That's why I can't tell the difference between a second and a sixth in most cases during their delusion. First perspectives do not go to the oasis. They don't have to. They're in the escape room. So, and then you have the fifth level of the subconscious mind, the unethical headspace, and the catatonic headspace. I will not be covering the fifth ethical level, or the fifth level, not the fifth ethic, the fifth level of the subconscious mind. The catatonic headspace, that's not relevant. That's not relevant to you guys. So if you want to know, they're caught in a logic loop while they prematurely dimension walked. That's what that is. So those are your head spaces. And when you start this, we're going to be covering this heavily in Try to Killing Part 1. This is absolutely like really detailed shit. Is the genie bottle, the kindergarten room, the discovery center. Once you start to realize that you have those 3 rotations and that you should be moving fluidly through all 3 of those, it should be genie bottle, kindergarten room, discovery center, kindergarten room, discovery center, discovery center, discovery center, kindergarten room, genie bottle, kindergarten. It can do any kind of variation as long as you're moving through all 3 of those head spaces. If you are not moving through those 3 head spaces, you're not learning. You're not growing. You're not self-regulating. You're violating the 3rd ethic. The first ethic is genie bottle, kindergarten room. Second ethic is kindergarten room, discovery center. Third ethic is integrating all 3 of them for that beautiful balance. That is self-regulation. But that's just the head spaces. The mind space is the mindset is a completely different topic entirely. We're not going to be covering that here, not yet. So when you have now your self-regulation, your genie bottle, kindergarten room, discovery center, the next thing that you have outside of that, and by the way, as soon as you're here listening, you stop being a 6th perspective oasis person. I'm curious if you have figured that out yet. That as soon as you start listening and learning and deciding I'm going to learn this shit, you've chosen to not be a 6th perspective oasis person. You've chosen to learn. Like it's amazing. As soon as you choose to learn, you choose to stop being an oasis person. As soon as you choose to learn, you stop being an idiotic 6th ethical perspective. As soon as you choose to learn, you stop being stupid. You see how this works. Like it's beautiful. So that's it for your self-regulation. That's your first thing. Now, that's still not actually practicing the 3rd ethics. That's not the trials. That's just using the ethics to guide your mental health through, all right, we're going to do that. Now, the next thing is going to be the journey plan itself. So you've got your identity. Okay, yep, journey plan. So now the journey plan. The journey plan is going to be the Cartesian coordinate system. Woohoo! So we're going to go ahead and let me take a look at that now. I'm just taking a quick look at this. Okay, yeah. So day 2, welcome to Everest, preparing for the ascent. I cover ant, grasshopper, storyteller, artist, communicator, scientist, foundational cultivator, visionary, pioneer, 12 ethical perspectives of human growth and evolution, the language, the healing journey plan, quality, focal point, priority, integration of. So we're all set on that now. Headspace. So now we're going to go back to your healing journey plan. And we're going to dive deep into this. It should be building your healing journey plan. Now, let me just take a quick look here over at my video 2.42. So 2.42. So see video 24200. Okay. So that marks the time for building the healing journey plan. So what we are basically looking at, timestamp. All right. Okay. So basically you're taking the Cartesian coordinate system. And that is the tool you're going to be needing for this. If you want to do further reading, basically the more reading you decide to do, the better your brain will be. So I'm going to do like a recommended reading here. Recommended reading on the Cartesian coordinate system. So that is what we are going to be using here. Now, the Cartesian coordinate system can only be measured in one direction. Measured in one direction. And it's always from the point of origin. Okay. You're going to have a destination point. That is called your y-axis. I'm not even going to call it y-axis. I'm just going to call it y. And I'm not. No, I'm going to leave it y. That way it's slightly consistent. And then there's going to be your current location point, which we're going to call that X, okay? So you have your point of origin, your destination point, and your current location point. Now, this is what we get into with triangulation. This is triangulation. This allows us to identify where we are with what, when. It's absolutely beautiful. This is how you find home in the abstract. It is how you find the self, how you define the self in the abstract. This is one of my problems is as I get into something like this, I start to think, in order for you to understand this, you're going to have to understand ABC. But before you can understand ABC, you have to understand XYZ. But before you can understand XYZ, you have to understand TRS. Now I'm looking at all of that going, what are the odds that you're educated? It didn't. So I have to first educate you on TRS and then XYZ and then ABC for you to understand this shit. And that's why I'm so frustrated, annoyed, and pissy. And then educators come along and they say stupid shit to me like, hey, Anna, I'm an educator. Oh, fuck, goddamn. You're the reason why my life is so hard. You're the reason why this is such a fucking mess. So telling me that you are an educator is like, you just put yourself on my shit list. Don't tell me you're an educator. Don't. You should take great shame in that. This is not a situation to be proud of. So telling me that you are an educator is something, if I were you, I would absolutely swallow that statement and keep your mouth shut because you're too stupid to know that telling people you're an educator is not something to be proud of right now. Same thing with psychologists. Economists are almost there. You say economist, you're almost at that point where it's like, are you the asshole who's responsible for this mess that you can't even build an economy? But okay. But like they're almost there, almost. But teachers, educators, psychologists, I would get a paper bag and change your name and stop bragging your incompetence like it's something to be proud of. So I'm now looking at this Cartesian coordinate system, trying to figure out how to explain it to somebody who doesn't have X, Y, Z, RST, and ABC. I cannot proceed without giving you a full background now. And in order to do that, you're going to need that in order to get to this. Good damn it, if you give them out the cookie. All right, we're going to figure this out. When you walk into the abstract, you're not going to know exactly who or what you are, and you're going to lose complete and all orientation. The reason why you're going to lose all orientation is because your current comprehension of the self is in relative to the sun. All of your understanding of the self is in relativity to the sun. Prior to that, it was in relativity to the earth. And if you worship a god, it is in relativity to that god. If it is in relativity to a spirituality or a religion, it is in reference to that code. So in order to understand any kind of orientation, you have to understand what orientation really is. Orientation is part of triangulation so that you know where you are in relativity to something else. Relativity is how you define your location. Location is both physical and mental. You have been taught how to only orient your location in relativity to your physical location, maybe. And you were taught how to do that incorrectly. So, this is the part where I have to tell you that everything the Roman education told you was fucking wrong because they're stupid. This is the kind of shit you should have learned in school. This is called nautical navigation. Nautical navigation has a very unique problem from the rest of the world. Nautical navigation is a bitch. How do I explain this to you? See, this is the part where I'm going, you should have learned nautical navigation from your school, but you didn't. All right, now I got to fix this. Now I got to teach you nautical navigation. Now I know nautical navigation because I have an obsession with ships and boats. I'm Scottish. Well, Irish also. So I have like a long heritage of ships. So I know water. So I know nautical. Obsessively so. It's why all the pirates have an Irish accent. Pirate accent is actually the Irish accent. Did anyone figure that out? So boy, it is. Yeah, think about it. The Irish accent is the pirate accent, the pirate accent. Talk like an Irish day is talk like a pirate day. It's the same stuff. So the reason why is because the Irish know their fucking shit when it comes to ships. It's kind of what they did for a really long time. And so a lot of the nautical navigational concept came from the Irish. So for me, it was so deeply integrated into me that it's common sense for me. Thinking, I'm trying to figure out the logical loop of where I need to get myself before I can start Plato's point with this. So give me a second, I got to find it. So orientation is literally the process of triangulating your location. It is triangulating your location. Now, it is a really stupid bullshit lie, and we're going to draw another line here of this is the Roman education and this is the Greek education. In the Roman educational nonsense, that is, you were probably told incorrectly that you need 2 data points to find your location. My brain hurts. This is wrong because it's Roman. In math, physics, logic, science, and in navigation and the Greek educational system, you are taught that you need 3 data points in order to locate orientation. In the Roman educational system, you are given 1 data point, which is called an anomaly in the Greek educational system, and 2 data points, which is referred to as a match in mathematics, physics, logic, science, and the ancient Greek educational system. You can't do jack and fucking shit with a match. Just because you have a match doesn't tell you anything. The reason why is I'm going to tell you that you have a single mirror. Is the mirror a fluke? Is it an anomaly? It's just a mirror. It stands alone. So we're going to call that an anomaly because we don't know its grouping. You can't figure out its grouping until you find 3 common denominators. Now you've got a match. Well, here's the problem. Is that an anomaly plus the common denominator? Or is that 2 anomalies? Is that 2 common denominators? You can't answer these questions without a 3rd data point to be able to identify if you actually have common denominators or if you have a mismatched anomaly with something that's related but not relevant. 2 does not clarify if it's relevant. 2 only shows that it's related, but not relevant. You need 3 to see if it's relevant. So you need 3 data points. So in the ancient Greek educational system, you are taught how to orient yourself using 3 data points. The self requires 3 data points in order to understand where it's located. This is really fucking important shit. If you don't know how to do this, if you don't know what this is, you are not going to know where you are in the universe. You're not going to know where you are in life. You're not going to know where you're going. You're not going to know jack and fucking shit. You are on a boat drifting in the ocean now going, who am I? So the ancient Greeks figured all this out and put together nautical navigation for you relatively quickly, calling it the self. I don't know how else to explain this. This is what the philosopher's compass is. This is why I call it the philosopher's compass, is because it is the triangulated position of your nautical location for orientation of the abstract, so you know where you are in the abstract. Because when you enter the abstract, you are going to lose the sun, the earth, God, and all your code. So how are you going to find yourself in the abstract? Fortunately, you are too stupid to even know that you're not in the abstract yet. So you're okay. The ones who are not okay are the catatonic ones who went premature dimension walking. You cannot enter the abstract without a compass. You need a compass. So I have to teach you, give you a compass. I call it the philosopher's compass, which is actually created by Pythagoras. Well, this is where Pythagoras is working mine. He did the first triangle and then he didn't. And all he ever put together was the first triangle. And then, so this is the fun part. All of your triangle and your geometric stuff that you guys are playing with, that's a fucking compass, dipshits. It's a compass. But like I said, this is where the 6 perspectives are really stupid because they don't get what it is. And other people have put it together and they're going, I don't know what they think it is, but it's a fucking compass. It's actually, and it's what I call the AIDNS, the Abstract Interdimensional Navigational System, because you are about to go into the abstract. I can't take stupid, dumb fucks into the abstract. You'll go catatonic. And I've got a bunch of you dumbasses poking at this thing without a compass, and I'm going, wow, you're really stupid. You're playing with nuclear weapons and you don't even know it. Which is why I call a lot of you stupid, is because I see you literally playing with nuclear science without any education. You're dumb fucking stupid. Your ayahuasca journeys, I have seen people go catatonic because they did not have a properly aligned compass. They went in and they never came out. You don't know what you're fucking around with. So if you want to go into the abstract, you're going to have to learn about self-orientation, which you can't do until you have a defined self. And then you have dipshits who are sitting here going, I'm on my learning journey still. I don't know who I am, but I'm working on it. Oh, but I'm totally in the abstract. Oh, you're a dumb fuck. You're in the oasis. You're not in the abstract. You cannot get in the abstract until you know who you are. And if you were, and this is it right here, you are not in the abstract. You have to know who you are in order to enter the abstract, or you're catatonic. So dumb fuck. Are you catatonic? Then you're not in the abstract, or you are in the abstract and you know how to get yourself in and out and you're walking all the way through it. But then your healing is over. Like, I can't express this enough, that I can't say that your healing is over, but you're actually learning, you're in it. But if you're not growing, you're not in it, because that's where you grow. Like this is really, a whole lot of people are like right up against it and they're trying to poke at it. And it's like, if you can't orient yourself, don't fuck around with it. So I've got to figure out how to teach you nautical navigation. I've never reverse engineered it because I've never had to. So I got to think. Orientation. This is why when we go to orientation, let's do this. Orientation is knowledge. That's what it is. It's knowledge. It's knowledge in relativity too, because all knowledge is relative. All knowledge is relative. But the question is, what is it relative to? It should be in relative to the truth. Other than that, you're a dumbass. But if you don't have the truth, then how do you know that you're in relative to the truth? Well, you'd have to know that through logic. But if you didn't study logic, you wouldn't have the truth to know that you are relative, to know that you have knowledge. So in order to orient yourself, you have to have knowledge that is relative to the truth, that is defined with logic. And there's the triangle. Relative, truth, logic. Now you've got knowledge. Now you can orient yourself. So truth, logic, in relativity to truth. Well, now this is the Cartesian coordinate system. So you have truth. And the logic is the technique you are going to use to compare yourself from point A, information, to the truth, which is the destination. And now you have an ability to gauge your metric from truth to the self, but that's only 2 points. Which is why you need a point of origin. you need to know how stupid you are to begin with. So you have your defined level of stupid with the truth, and then you can use logic to navigate yourself away from stupid toward the truth. So, and that's it right there. That's it right there. Stupid or truth. Those are your options. Logic is the tool you're going to need to make that relative comparison so you can measure your knowledge. So you need to measure your knowledge. This is so fucking weird for me. You have to measure your knowledge. To measure your knowledge, you need to literally compare it in relativity to the truth, which you do with logic, which you do when you literally build logical code, which you probably can't do because you have not studied logic. I'm now asking the question, can I even teach you this now or yet? You're not ready for the abstract. Not at all, which is why I have Triadic Healing Part 1, which covers 1 through 6. You don't open that fucking door until you go through Triadic Healing Part 1 through 6. This is what you do at Triadic Healing Part 2, is I teach you how to triangulate yourself. Now, you're going to learn how to do this inside the abstract, but you need to do it first in your actual life. You can't even do that. All right, so let's go ahead and do this. How do I do this? Well, we have to talk about your problems with religion, God, truth. Yeah, see, now we're getting into the problems of truth. And now we're going to have a problem because, and now this is where I'm getting like, ugh. I got 12 of you here, remember. All right, I'm going to have students who have already studied logic. You're fine. I've got students who have not yet studied logic. Go study logic. That's where you've got to be. I cannot go further with you on this until you've studied logic. I can't, which is why it was covered in all of the learning that I have on my Triadic Healing and in my books, is why we cover this first. It is because I can't go further without it. If you don't have logic, you can't even figure out if your knowledge is based off of truth or not. You can't even measure your knowledge. And this is it right here. Without logic, you can't even measure your knowledge. So I'm going to go ahead and set this up for you. In the Cartesian coordinate system, your real life, you have your point of origin. Now, your point of origin is not your family. Throw that shit out. Your point of origin is where you are right now. How stupid are you is your point of origin. How stupid are you? This is why students have to accept they're stupid, because that's going to be their point of origin, is their ignorance. Now, you've got to be able to measure how stupid you are now. This is why humiliation is vital, because until you know how stupid you are, you can't measure the truth. Now, you can measure someone stupider than you, which is what you've probably been doing up to now. You probably look at a 5-year-old and go, oh, look, the 5-year-old is that educated. I'm this educated, so I'm better. A lot of adults do this. 45-year-olds compare themselves to 10 years old and go, look, I'm so smart. That is what stupid does. It measures down instead of up. To measure up, you need the truth. But you probably thought you didn't have the truth, when in fact you did if you had logic, but you weren't taught logic. So you need logic to measure up. Stupid measures down. There's no logic when you measure down. So you need logic to measure up. So this is the crux right here. Are you going to measure up or are you going to measure down? If you measure down, get the fuck out of my class. You're an idiot. If you're going to measure up, you're going to need logic. You have no other option. There is no other way to measure up. So you have to get logic, because logic is going to be the thing that you use, that you can compare what you think you know to the truth. So you can go, oh, look at that. I'm a fucking idiot. Yes, very good. Now you have a point of origin defined. So that now, as you start weeding through your logical code, you can start fixing it, and you'll get smarter and smarter, and you'll notice fewer and fewer errors. As you get fewer and fewer errors, you're going to develop an X point here on your graph. So you've got your point of origin of how stupid you were. Look at how much I've improved. Now, when you compare point of origin to X point, that is your improvement and growth metric. But if you haven't even defined how stupid you are, what the fuck are you doing? This is how you navigate your knowledge, your wisdom, your learning, your education. But you were never taught how to literally orient yourself with navigation, which is why you're an idiot. So, if you want to know how far you have to go, you're going to want to compare X to Y. You have to measure X to Y to see how far you have to go. The answer, how far do I have to go, is this. When you have 100% no logical fallacy in all of your thinking, when you have 100% of all historical code for the past and the future, when you have a zero lapse time manifestation with 100% accuracy. That does it. A zero lapse time with 100% accuracy on your manifestation. That's when you're at the point of truth. That's where you're going. 100% pure logic. 100% you have the ability to see all of the future and all of the past because you've written the fucking code, because you have your own Akashic record. That is when you don't need to grow anymore. Only to realize that you're going to grow anyway because that's what you do. So you're going to set a new point. This is where I am. I don't use truth anymore because my truth is where I am is the point of origin. So now I have a new one, but I can't see it yet because it's so far out there. I don't even know what it is. This is my work. This is like Traumatic Healing Part 5. And I'm going, what the fuck is out there? I know there's another milestone and I don't know what it is. It is approximately 36 levels. And I am only at, because math is highly predictable. This is the gorgeous thing about math. I love how predictable it is. So, okay, I can do this. Okay, so 72 levels is when I'll find the next milestone. And I am currently at 45, which means I have 27 levels to go before I can even, I have no idea what the milestone is. I have no idea. I would have to ask the question, when did I see that truth was the milestone? When did I see that truth was the first milestone? So truth is the first milestone. There's another one out there and I can't see it yet. I have no idea what it is. So I currently have a milestone of X. I just know that I am 8 levels in. So my stupid is, well, I know that I am only 8 levels into a 27 level thing. And I know that the milestone is so fucking far out there. I don't even know what it is. And I'm just heading toward it. And I just open mind, mouth shut, learning. That's what I'm doing. That's where I'm at. I'm mouth shut, open mind, looking, learning, observing. Recording, documenting, going, okay. That's what I'm doing. That's what you should be doing. Open mind, mouth shut, observing. If you're talking, like at this point, the only time you should be talking is after you've learned logic, after you've learned Socratic method, after you have learned how stupid you are, and after you have learned how to orientate. I don't think that's a word. I think it's a Roman word. Orient yourself. Orient yourself. Orientate is a Roman bullshit. Ugh. So yeah, you guys are so far away from the truth, you don't even know that you're looking for the truth. Just like I'm so far away from X, I don't even know what I'm looking for. But I'm sitting here going, dumbasses, you're going to truth. You're looking for truth. That's the first milestone. So truth is the first milestone. I just can't see it. I just don't know. I'm sitting here going, what if I logically hypothesize what it could be? No, I just can't see it. I cannot see beyond there. That is beyond my perspective. I cannot do it yet. So, all right. So you have to learn how to measure your knowledge. in order to proceed further, you can't do anything until you know how to measure your knowledge. So I can sit here and talk to you, and you can measure my knowledge, my abstract, my all this weirdness. And if you are a doubting Thomas, but the math for it, the physics and all that jazz is on my website, animagination.com. But you're looking for truth. That's what you're doing, is you are in the pursuit of truth. And the problem is you are either in a delusion or you are in truth. Now, there is also a spectrum. You are either facing toward truth or away from it. There is, and it's a dichotomy. Truth is a dichotomy. So you might have 50% truth and 50% lie. You might have 90% truth. No, you don't have 90% truth. If you had 90% truth, then you would be at like the 32nd level. You'd be beyond this. See, this is it. This is exactly is. If you are a sixth ethical perspective, then I can tell you that I do know 90% of what you know is bullshit because you're at the sixth perspective. This is how I do it. This is the mathematical algorithm I have to figure out how stupid you are. Is if you are at the sixth perspective, rubbing chakra stones together, you are 90% stupid. That is how far off you are. You are 90% stupid. So I'm looking at this going, okay, if you are at the second perspective and you are praying to a God, thinking that the God is your truth, well, it depends. I'm going to speak specifically about the Christian God. And if you think the Abrahamic Christian God is your truth and you're reading the Roman Bible, yeah. So you're so far away from the fucking truth. Now, if you've learned to separate Christ from the religion, okay, great. Now you're getting somewhere. But again, now we're looking at 98% stupid to 90% stupid. As soon as you cross over into about the 12th ethical perspective, 7th ethical perspective is a slap in your face. That's the best place. When you get to the 7th ethical perspective, that's when you get 50% smart. 7th ethics are 50% smart because they're the ones who go, I need to keep my mouth shut and I just need to learn because I don't know jack and fucking shit. Well, great. You are now you are officially a genius now. Now, can you stay that way for the next 24 levels? Yes, you can. Once you hit the 7th, and this is the best part, once you hit the 7th, you learn humility of, wow, I'm an idiot. And then you learn it again at the 8th. And then you learn it again at the 9th. And then you learn it again at the 10th. And then you learn it every single perspective thereafter over and over again. It becomes part of your lesson, how stupid you are. I get this lesson every fucking time I have a perspective shift. I go, look at that. I'm fucking stupid. And then I do, oh my God, how fucking stupid was I? Which is why you hear me say it a lot, is because every time I perspective shift, every time I perspective expands, I get that nice humble pie. I've learned to love it. Where I go, all right, look how stupid I was. I get more like, all right. I'm still a fucking idiot because I can't see what X is. Okay. All right, got lots to learn. Good. That's student. So if you are, so this is it right here, is where you are with truth. Most people aren't even facing the right way. Most people are facing, like psychologists are all facing the wrong way. Oh my God, that's fun. That's fun. All psychologists have their back to the truth and they're going that way, which is why they are deconstructing mental symptoms instead of actually healing people. That's how dumb they are. Literally back to the truth, and they're following the wrong path down. That's disintegration. So when you go toward the truth, that's called integration. And when you are facing the wrong way, you are disintegrating. So the first thing you got to figure out is which side you are on. Are you integrating or disintegrating? Most of you are disintegrating. That's why you're diseased, aged, dying, sick, traumatized, because you're disintegrating. So the disintegrating direction is when you have your back to the truth. The integrating section is when you have it facing the truth. So the first thing you've got to do is figure out which direction you are facing. Are you integrating or disintegrating? In order to do that, you have to be able to identify where the truth is, which you can't do until and unless you study logic, which is why you're all facing the wrong way, disintegrating. So this is where I'm stuck, where I'm going, until you guys learn logic, I can't go further. we're at an impasse, because I can't tell you to turn around. Now I can give you clues, I can tell you what to look for, but now I'm enabling you again like a stupid ass teacher. I'm not going to do that. You've got to learn how to orient yourself, because if you can't figure this shit out, you think I'm going to lead you into the abstract, dumbasses? You'll end up catatonic. You got to figure this out first. This is education. This is what you should have been learning. This is what the ancient Greeks teach you. How to orient yourself here so you can orient yourself there. And you want to learn arcana. Huh. You don't even know which direction is truth. Logic. So, logic is the first one. Humility is the next one. You're going to need music theory. You're going to need physics. If you are whining or growing when I say any of these words, I'm going to tell you right now, you're not cut. Get the fuck out of here. You're not cut for it. Logic, humility, music theory, physics, linguistics. Watch My Fair Lady. Do not take a linguistics class. Do not fucking take a linguistics class. Go onto Wikipedia. Do not take a fucking linguistics class. Go to Wikipedia and study linguistics there. Do not fucking take a linguistics class. You are also going to want to look at the linguistics morphology fallacy. Morphology, evolution fallacy. And tell me why words don't evolve, why they morph instead. That is one of your assignments. If you are studying any of the linguistics, this is one of the things you need to do is, yeah, absolutely. Tell me how words don't evolve. How words don't evolve. They morph. So, yeah, watch the musical My Fair Lady for linguistics. And then go to Wikipedia and just look up Proto-Indo-European languages. And that's all you need. Logic will take care of the rest from there. Logic is the true teacher. Logic is the true teacher. I'm just an NPC pointing a direction going, you need to go to logic. Logic is actually what teaches you. Logic is learning. So I will be doing a logic class. It is something I will be covering. I might be doing it in the afternoons. I might be doing logic and linguistics in the afternoon. I don't know yet. Definitely linguistics. I will also be covering music. I don't know if I want to do music theory. To me, that's just such, I did it when I was 12. So for me, it's like, it's mathematical repetition. It's boring again. God, I hate mathematical pattern. I love it and I hate it. I love the predictability and I hate the predictability. It's like looking at computer wires for me. So you have to be taught how to measure your knowledge. Yeah, measure your knowledge. All right, so that's it. Measure your knowledge. And I can't do anything at this point going forward until you know logic. I'm checking my logic loop to see if there's anything else going here because I keep coming back to that. Oh, no, they don't know logic. Well, they need to measure their, yeah, but they don't know logic. Ah! Ah! Oh, okay, well, what about their healing journey plan? Can't build it until they know logic. Ah! Can I? I can't. So I'm going to ask you the question, what's your destination? Your destination is truth. Okay? Where are you? What's your point of origin? Which is, how stupid are you? You're not going to be able to know that until you can measure your stupid to the truth. So now you have data, which is, well, you have got your data in. So you take your data And you've probably already integrated your data into your intuition without measuring it first to see if it's even true or not. So you probably have, no, you do have contaminated, you have a contaminated logical core, which is why you're all fucked up. Because you've been accepting data into your intuition without checking it for truth first. All right. I don't think we can go any further at this point until you learn how to measure your knowledge, which you cannot do until you study logic. All right. Khan Academy has a logical course. And you know, I don't have to do this. I don't have to do this because it's already been done for me. Why am I reinventing the wheel? I don't have to fucking teach you a goddamn thing. Jostein Gardner's book, Sophie's World, does it for you. So read Sophie's World. At this point on, this material is absolutely banned from anybody at this point who has not read Sophie's World. If you have not read Sophie's World, get the fuck out after this point. You should be doing nothing but reading Sophie's World by Jostein Gardner. This is a you will not pass. Now, if you're dumb enough to think you're going to pass without reading this book, you're a dumbass, you're fucking stupid, and you are not going to be able to understand the majority of what I'm about to say going from this point on. I'm going to go ahead and just, I think, yeah, I'm at 11 o'clock. I'm going to pause it here. I'm going to take a break. But this is officially the Sophie's World cutoff point. I cannot take you any further until you read Sophie's World by Jostein Gardner. Like, now, this is a book that doesn't just, it reads like a story. It is a story. It does cover everything you need to know about philosophy. It is the only philosophy book I read. And he embeds and integrates logic right into you when you read it. The more logical you are, the faster it's going to turn on. By the time you are done with the book, you will have logic. Your logic will be turned on. He did it on purpose. I got the idea for what he did for Healing Garden, where I went, well, I'm just going to do that with mental health. So I've embedded mental healing right into my work, which is just logic. It's the logical code. But if you don't understand logical code, you can't undo the wiring. All mental illness, your subconscious mind is pure logical code. It runs on nothing but logical code. All of life is logical code. This weird thing is logical code. All of it is logical code. I dreamed about it last night, my little dot and then my symbols. I've never dreamt about science before. Oh, I did once. I did have a dream about science once. I had a whirlwind thingy water heater in my kitchen where you hit the button and it spins the water and it heats it up. And it was advanced sciencing stuff. So I had like goggles and I went, stand back. And I hit the button and the water started spinning. And the person I said stand back to was my then husband, who was a master in organic chem. And I'm like, stand back. This is advanced science. And I had on my goggles and I hit my button and it was just water spinning and heating up. So that was the only time I've ever dreamed about science until now, where I was dreaming out the whole thing. And I'm like, oh, look at that. It's my logical code. Look at how cute it is. And it's growing. I love my beautiful little logical code. It's so pretty. My little logical code. So yeah, I love it so much. I look at it and I'm like, is it logic? Oh, I love it so much. Yeah. Logical code. I could just write that for the rest of my life. Logical code. I got to think. Okay. So Sophie's World will integrate the logic into you and turn it on. After that, I will be able to break down. I'll be able to teach you how to measure your knowledge. I'll be able to teach you how to measure your knowledge. All right. And now I'm asking the question, if they taught logic, if they studied logic, do they really need to be taught how to measure their knowledge? With logic, they'd be able to. I was able to measure my logic immediately once I had logic. I didn't need anyone to teach me. Technically, there's going to be a lot of you who, when you're done with Sophie's World, you're not going to need me. That's teaching. That's all it was. That's it. What were we at? 5 classes and we're done? There's going to be a lot of you who, when you read Sophie's World, you're going to be like, I don't need Anna. That's right. This is called nourishing. This is why I'm so fucking pissed at teachers. That's all you needed. This is it. No teacher should ever take up more of your time than this. We're done. We're done. As soon as you read Sophie's World, a lot of you are going to be on your own. The more you work on your logic from this point on, we're done. Now, I can give you guidance. I can give you direction. I can point my fingers all over the place and say, just go here, just go here, just go here. But we're pretty much done. That is the difference. That is the difference between actual teaching and the Roman bullshit that you've been exposed to. You can give this course to teenagers. You can give this course to children. After I've cleaned up all the swearing and all that jazz and we make it PG and pretty with little unicorns dancing across the stage, which we're working on. We will be doing this. We will be doing a PG version, probably definitely with me, but without my mouth, for children. And also without any of the degradation, because children don't need to be degraded. Oh, they got that down. Dumbest thing you could do is degrade a child, you dumbasses. God, that pisses me off. Never degrade a child. Only adults need to be slammed into the ground and humiliated, never children. Children know. We're born into this world knowing. Arrogance is a symptom of trauma. So yeah, like I said, there's absolutely no need whatsoever for degradation for children. So it would be a whole, and I actually have some of that already put together. I have a course for 15-year-olds. I have a course for 12-year-olds. The younger you get, the nicer I get. Adults are like, you guys have no fucking excuse. You're just lazy and stupid. And I just, ugh. And impatient. That's why you're poor, is because you're impatient. Impatience is the number one killer of wealth. Impatience equals wealth or poverty. Oh, I have a lot to say on that. Stupid destroys knowledge. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. Sophie's World will take it from here. So there's going to be a lot of you who read the book and you're going to go like, holy fucking shit, and you're gone. Great. You're going to have other people who are like, all right, I got it. Music theory. Music theory is also going to supplement that. And physics. Now, music theory will also cover physics with you. It does. I recommend Walter Piston Harmony. This is the same book Juilliard uses. Walter Piston Harmony. The book is called Harmony, and it's written by Walter Piston. And it has physics in the back of the book. So you don't need to go out and get a physics book because it's already there in the back of the book. And then you'll have logic. Linguistics, I'm just going to keep talking to you here. And honestly, that's really what you need is after this point, you're going to need purified linguists, language. You're going to. I'm tired. I'm getting tired. Yeah, I'm definitely needing to like start to shut it down here in a minute. And then I will be back this afternoon for part 2 of this. So this is pretty much it. We're going to cover measure your knowledge. I don't know if I'm going to do that today or tomorrow. We're definitely going to cover measuring the knowledge. And then we'll be able to do the healing journey plan. That's it right there. We'll be able to do the healing journey plan at that point. So I can't even cover your healing journey plan with you until you read Sophie's World because you can't go any further without logic. Now, there's also going to be people who read it and you're going to struggle with it. The more you struggle reading Justin Gardner's book is how illogical you are. And Justin Gardner is correct. He's right. I do not give any material that has not been logically purified with accuracy. So your opinion is unwanted. If you are reading his book and you find it difficult, well, there's your metric. And it's not a movie. You're going to have to read the book. So, yeah, this is what it comes out. There is just no other way around this. It is the only book in the world that I know that does this. And it literally supplants any other course that is out there. You don't need to study philosophy. You don't need to study anything. except Plato's curriculum. So Plato's curriculum are the academic disciplines in the right order. It's just art, song, dance, and then drawing, painting, sculpting, and then reading, writing, arithmetic, theater, stage, and then linguistics, logic, and physics. And that's Plato's curriculum. That's all it is. But you have to go into it. So you have to do it. But you won't understand doing it unless you are an artist. So that by the time you get to reading and writing, you're going, okay, I am reading and I am writing. And that's where that's where all Roman education ends, is reading and writing. All Roman education ends at reading and writing. You don't go further than that. You might think you do, but they are so stupid that they don't know that they're not going further than reading and writing. Which is why everyone is as stupid as they are. Is because you don't go beyond reading and writing. After you learn how to read and write, you read and write for the rest of your high school career. And that's pretty much all you do is read. Read, listen, write. Those are your skills. You memorize. That's the skill you've mastered. Very good job. You've mastered the skill of memorization, which doesn't even stick in your brain longer than 2 weeks. The useless, most stupidest thing in the world is memorization. It's so fucking stupid because it's literally one of those things. Here's memorization. I'm going to cast a spell. It's going to create an image and then it's going to flight away. So I'm going to say, look at the apple. There's an apple and then it melts away. Look at the apple and then it melts away. So unless I'm sitting here for all eternity going, look at the apple, look at the apple, look at the apple, look at this, I'm parroting, look at the apple will fall away. That is your learning. That's not learning, dumbasses. That is not at all learning. That is not even close to fucking learning. But that is how you were taught. That's not teaching. That is not teaching. So you were taught how to sit in a chair, listen, read a book, and then practice saying the same thing over and over again in repetition to keep it present in your mind, or else you'd forget about it. And then you were trained how to try and gorge yourself on shit information in large quantities for the rest of your life. That's not learning. That's Roman shit. So Sophie's World, Justin Gardner teaches you everything you need to know about philosophy and logic in 400 pages while integrating it into your own intuition, so you're fine. 400 pages and you have all of philosophy crammed into your body and you're done. Now, real philosophy begins after that. Real philosophy then begins after that, because that's when you go into things. That's when you go into. But you have to read Sophie's World to figure that out. And if you're one of those persons who read it and walked away and went, well, that's a nice story, then you're an idiot. My daughter is on, I think she's 10 chapters in. And like I said, she's already, she unraveled a massive piece of the logic code yesterday that I missed about the connection to World War II and narcissism and bullying. And I'm just like, oh, holy fucking shit, that's amazing. Like, yeah, you did.
That wasn't related to the book.
No, it was. You learned the logic, so you were able to make a logical deduction because you had sharpened your logic well enough. Huh? It's not a part that you read. It's the training from reading the book. It's integrating into you. Your conscious awareness is not aware of it yet. Your conscious awareness becomes aware of it in the last chapter. It's really amazing. Your conscious awareness finally catches up to you and you're like, oh my fucking God. And you can feel it. So I'm giving your conscious awareness a head start. When you read Sophie's World, your subconscious mind and your intuition is learning logic and sharpening it. Your conscious awareness is going to just be following the story. So for you, it's a cute little story. But when you get to the end, he does something that is so fucking extraordinary that you become consciously aware of what he did. And it's like, holy fucking shit. And it's amazing. Your epiphany moment at the end in relative to, literally, that's it. Your excitement level to that moment is going to be in relative to how logical, how intelligent you are. If you get to the end and you don't get it, you've got a lot more studying to do. Literally, it's go to academy, study music theory, study physics, study logic, study math. Go into Plato's curriculum, go through it. Most 12-year-olds all 12-year-olds in the ancient Greek educational system were there. This is everything that they got. Most people just don't get there. Artists have a problem where they'll only study their art and nothing else. So they'll isolate and pocket. And then you've got other people who go through all of it, but they get to a certain point and then they stop. Oh, I found art. This is what I want to do. And then they shut down and they do no more. The scientists bypass the art almost entirely because they don't get it and they dive right into science. And on occasion, you'll have someone like Einstein who does put music into it, and boy, it's a completely different creature. And then communicators are completely ignored, abandoned, and you guys are thrown away, which is why you have the problem you have, which is why you are the most like, oh my fucking God, what's going on here? So Ty Bennett is somebody else who his work matches mine. Fuck damn yes. Ty Bennett for leadership. Ty Bennett. His work is like, now that he's a 10th ethical perspective. So you can, definitely, I definitely like that solid shit. Ty Bennett stuff is. All right. Yep. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up here. Take my break. Plan out. And then when I come back, we're going to talk about measuring your knowledge. I'm probably going to reset after that and continue building up the curriculum from that point on, because I'm still building the curriculum and the plan. Yeah, I can feel that. So we're going to enter the Philosopher's Fountain. That's where I'm going to go. The Philosopher's Fountain is an abstract concept. It's a mindset that I have that allows me to take a completely different point of view on this. So when I come back, we're going to be measuring your knowledge, rebuilding the curriculum. We're going to be talking about the healing journey plan. We're going to be covering probably more on linguistics and a few other things. So thank you so much. And the truth will find you. Thank you.